So welcome back, Pete. It's a pleasure to have you back on the Rum Brothers.
Yes.
We are thrilled.
I'm actually drinking rum for you guys tonight.
Ooh, what are you drinking?
Dos Madeiras.
Oh, I've seen that. I haven't tried it yet. I've always seen that on the shelf.
Yeah, it's a sherry, Jerez sherry cask rum. It's freaking really good.
Where is it
really
made?
Good.
Is that Barbados?
I don't know exactly. It's somewhere in the Caribbean. And then I think it gets aged in Jerez barrels somewhere.
Oh, cool.
So it doesn't even say on the bottle.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it just says Caribbean and Jerez or something like Caribe and Jerez.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
I am drinking the Real McCoy, but I don't know if you're familiar with Foursquare Distillery. They do the Foursquare rums, Real McCoy, and RL Seal, which is pretty fantastic stuff. And it's from Barbados. And this is a 12-year rum, and they make a big deal, like no sugar, no color, all that stuff. So it's very pure.
That's actually nice.
No diabetes.
Well, you'll get the diabetes from rum no matter what.
Yeah.
That's why I don't drink it that much.
Yeah. And it's just the right, it's very lightly sweet, but like in a natural kind of way. And that's a great age color from the barrel, and you get a little bit of the barrel too.
Yeah. Well, highly recommend. Okay, so that color right there.
Wow.
That's got to be from the sherry cask, right?
Oh yeah.
But that's pretty absurd. There's a lot of diabetes in there for sure. Yeah.
And Dylan, what do you have tonight?
I'm actually drinking and one of the beers I distribute. This is an amber lager. So I like a lot of beer pairings when I do cigars, just because it doesn't, especially maltier beers. So this is
how long has Amber been making lager?
She came over just yesterday and was like, "Hey, I'm Amber. Try my lager."
I got my drums over there. I should have had it for a rim shot right here.
Get out of here, Amber.
And the other thing I have to drink later is Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye.
Nice, yeah.
Are you familiar with these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
Actually, I think they were selling it at Costco for a while.
Oh, whenever you look.
Yeah, which is always a great place to get a deal. Yes.
Yeah, I on Instagram.
Not a sponsor of Rum Brothers, but
right. Yeah, I wish. Because we started the Rum Brothers Instagram, and like I'm constantly bombarded with like these bourbon hunters who are like, "Hey, like I found Pappy Van Winkle at Costco for $99 and stuff like that." And it's like, oh geez, it's like I'm never gonna find that.
Yeah, and in maybe 1997.
Yes, yeah. Before
you did not find Pappy. Don't you love that though?
Yeah, it's annoying. It's like, hey, look what I found.
There was actually a great time before tequila became hot. There was a lot of tequila. Well, now there's a lot of tequila at Costco just because it's hot. But before it became hot, there were like ceramic bottles of tequila, like really good tequila that actually tasted a lot like rum, probably full of sugars and all the stuff that give you the diabetes. But beautiful, like ceramic bottles that once you're done with them, you can use them as a decorative piece in your house. And they were like $79, like for an extra añejo. Now these bottles are like trading for like $500-$600, and you can't find them.
Wow,
they're all behind the glass.
And I bought a case of it at $79, and I drank it thinking it was like going to be unlimited, but no, can't find it anymore.
Speaking of stuff you can't find, I was listening to an interview you did, I forget with who, and you were talking about how you had a couple of bottles of Stag Junior at home, and I was like, man, I'm so jealous. Because that's a hard bottle to
say
find.
Stag Junior. Like, what is it called now? Just Stag, right?
Stag, yeah. I liked how you said you if you had been in charge, it would have been Junior, which I think would have been a fun name for whiskey.
Junior?
Yeah.
Reminds me of Indiana Jones.
Right, yeah.
Sean Connery. Junior! I told you not to call me Junior.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was a good impersonation. Yeah.
If the cigar industry ever falls out for you, just do a Harrison Ford impersonation.
Yeah. That's funny.
So we
So
talked about what we're drinking. Yeah.
yeah,
We're
what are you
smoking.
smoking, Dylan?
Uh, just a little. Yeah.
Oh, nice. The 20.
Yeah. So this is right up my alley. This is like one of my favorite sizes and one of my favorite flavor profiles that I like getting in a cigar. People like to say cocoa, but I take it a step further. I say cocoa puffs. So
More
I like
refined,
getting that.
actually. It's
Yeah,
actually
right,
more
Yeah,
right.
refined.
and it's just like cocoa. Everyone says cocoa. Cocoa puffs, though. That's nostalgia in a
Interesting.
cigar.
It's funny you
Yeah.
say that. So you're good friends with John Huber, right? Have you talked to John Huber on your show before, right?
Not yet. Not yet. We're
Not
hoping to
wait,
get him.
he still hasn't been on your show?
No, we got connected with Nick Libretti over at JR, and he's tight with him, so we're hoping to get him. And also, speaking of Nick, he's expect an ask from him soon because he was like, "Ooh, I want to talk to Pete," because we talked to him recently.
I want to talk to him.
Well, it's funny you talk about breakfast cereal though, because I used to associate a lot of cigars with breakfast cereal.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and John Huber, my friend from Crown Heads, would actually say, "What's your obsession with breakfast cereal?" I'm like, dude, just do yourself a favor and smell that cigar, and tell me you don't smell Golden Grams, and tell me
Ooh.
you do not smell Cinnamon Raisin Toast Crunch, and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, cereal in general is like a very big thing with flavor profiles in cigars. People get a lot of cereal notes from cigars too, like they do in whiskeys or other things
Oh,
like
that's
that.
really interesting.
But yeah, I like Cocoa Puffs, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cocoa
Yeah.
Puff thing. I
Yeah,
can't put
no,
that in advertising pieces though, because the FDA will be all over me.
Oh yeah, it's like, are you trying to
Because
get
now
kids to smoke
I'm
this?
trying to get kids to smoke. Well,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
edit that
Well,
wrong way.
well, I'm trying to get kids to smoke. Yep. Yeah.
And that's end of the interview right
Yeah,
there.
right.
That's the only clip. I'm trying to
Yep.
get kids to smoke.
Yeah. Yep. And then
Yeah. Brush up on that
headlines: Pete Johnson gets
impersonation.
canceled. Yeah.
But yeah. So
Meanwhile, I
Pete,
have a meeting this
yeah.
week. I have a meeting this week to talk about good practices in the cigar industry,
Epic, yeah.
like self-regulation.
Yeah.
Here I am just whipping out, promoting to kids.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead.
No, you first.
That's the
No,
one thing.
you first.
There's a slight delay on the audio, so there's always like that kick. But so Pete, since last time we talked, I was a bit of a novice. I'm not going to say I'm a aficionado right now, but I
You're
had this
smoking
core.
a.
I mean, this is my journey has been very accelerated since August, and I smoke every day now, but for better or for worse. But the reason that I did it, it's the only thing that keeps me awake in the car, and I drive all the time. So
Where are
you
you
talk
driving
about
to?
just doing sales and stuff. I'm always in the DMV area, driving to Pennsylvania, down to Virginia, and all over the state. So it's the only if I ever have a drive more than a half hour, I start to nod off, and it got to a point where I was like, I can't do this, and I tried all this other stuff. Cigars the only thing that worked. But all that to say, we talk about breakfast and breakfast cereals. My breakfast is coffee and usually a Connecticut or something like that. But
Nice.
yeah, the cereal notes really, yeah, I can get behind that 100%. But cereal for adults of the smoking age, YouTube. Yes. And it is not a healthy alternative to breakfast.
Yeah, we got to make sure we say that.
What are you
The
smoking, Pete?
Surgeon General, yes.
I'm actually smoking a prototype. I'll get you a little close up of it.
Ooh.
It's Sumatra Oscuro, so dark Sumatra.
Mm.
Um, It's actually a kind of a redux of something I've done in the past. So you're going to see it sometime later this year, and it's related to the monsters. So,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I
Very
sent you
cool.
the photo of the event only cigar I got from Draper with the pumpkin band on it.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten into those yet, but I'm excited to try those.
Halloween for adults, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. And I wanted to show you this. This was a nice present from my siblings,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
I haven't touched it yet. But like, I just wanted to show you how pretty that is.
Those are what, 3 years old now? 2 years, two and
2
a half,
years.
3 years.
Yeah,
What, 21, right?
Yeah.
yeah, 21 or 22.
Yeah,
But
22. Sorry.
I'm so excited to have this. This is probably one of the last boxes that was on the internet, and it's just so pretty. I'm afraid to like start smoking them. I'm even the guy who will like take an X-Acto knife and
They're
cut.
going to eventually
the
get
sticker.
old, so make sure you smoke.
Yes, I
Yeah.
will. No, I won't let them go to waste. But I just love this box, and very happy to have it. But since I'm inside and can't smoke for real, I went to a store and found toppers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is like the old-fashioned perfecto style. So
Yeah.
I'll chew on this and pretend to smoke.
Oh, man, that gives me so many memories. Because
Yeah,
toppers, like, for me, that was broadleaf back then. Like, way back when I was smoking toppers was like, well, still in the early 90s. But fabulous. Fun,
yeah,
easygoing cigars. I have no idea how they taste now, 30 years later. But when I was younger, they were fun to chew on. So a good chewing cigar.
oh great. Yeah, I mean it's so sweet. Like you just
You know,
when I got it at the
so
store, I was
World
like,
War
man,
II
that broadleaf. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it might have diabetes in it, but yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, we
There's a
can make
theme.
one
That's a
bonus
theme
shirt.
of tonight.
The diabetes.
Yeah,
Yeah, who
we
is
could
that?
have the diabetes beer with the rum.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually like
Wilford
how you,
Brimley.
Thomas. I like how you said it though. Diabetes.
Yeah,
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
just like Wilford
You have
Brimley.
Yes.
diabetes. That's
Yes.
who it is. Yes, that's who it is.
I have diabetes. So
Is Wilford Brimley from Texas, by the way? Because it's kind of like a really grumpy old version of Patrick Mahomes. You ever heard? I mean, you've heard him do interviews, right?
yeah. That's a really interesting
I'm just
point.
waiting for Patrick Mahomes to get old, so I just talk like this, you know.
Well, I think I think Wilford Brimley was the one who was like a stunt man in Hollywood, wasn't he? Didn't he do like all the stunts and like
Holy
True
shit! I
Grit
didn't
and
know.
stuff? I
Yeah,
think so.
maybe.
Like he was like an old school Hollywood guy.
And then became a real actor.
Yeah,
Well, I
for
hate to,
diabetes.
that was wrong. Sorry, that's insulting to some people.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
it became an actor instead of just a background actor.
Right. Yeah. Like
You've-
instead of just falling
You've
off of
lost
horses.
You've lost all the stunt and double customers there.
Yeah.
Dude, I knew a couple big stunt doubles back in the day too. So like,
Oh, cool.
no offense to them if they ever do see this.
Oh, speaking of like just Hollywood, and since you were in the LA scene, I was listening to Bill Maher's podcast of all things, and he was interviewing Kenny G of all people. And he was talking about how Jackie Chan has a cigar bar in Shanghai. Like, isn't that
Holy
crazy?
shit!
Yeah, I was
I
like,
gotta go to Shanghai.
yeah. But like Kenny G apparently is huge in China, and he ran into Jackie Chan at an event, and he was like, "You have to come to my cigar bar." And apparently, he's like, he sings, he has a band and everything, and yeah.
Well, he's known in China as a musician, Jackie Chan, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Sure he's more famous as a musician in China than as an action star.
Huh? Well, we should all go to Jackie Chan's cigar bar. That's
It's
some fancy
funny.
hotel.
Kenny G though, like I knew one night at the Grand Havana Room in Los Angeles or Beverly Hills, they used to have jazz night, and they would have like celebrities come up and who played instruments and play. So Peter Weller would play trumpet. Jeff Goldblum would play keyboards.
Oh,
this guy named James Orr, who directed like 3 Men and a Baby and all these other movies, he played drums. Like John Lovitz would get up. But one night out of the blue, Kenny G pulls out his horn and just starts whipping it out in front of, I don't know, 100, 125, 150 people, maybe.
Wow.
So you got a personal concert from Kenny G
That's
at a
so
private
cool.
cigar club. So there's the 6 degrees of Kenny G with the
Right.
cigar club incident.
Yeah, I thought that was a crazy story.
No,
and of course,
and by the way, the Asian market right now is massive in cigars. So I'm sure Jackie Chan is killing it.
Yeah. Now that I mean, I have no doubt, and I've read in articles that China is the reason why Cuban prices are so high too, and Cuba's raising prices all over the country because of what people will pay in China.
Well, it's actually China is actually raising the prices because they're the owners of more than 50%, or they're the owners of 50% of Habanos. So they're the ones that are raising the prices on themselves. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I feel
That's
like I
really
heard that
interesting.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big interest in China for Habanos, and there's also rumors that this group of people that bought the portion of Habanos that they're gonna buy something else. And the big rumor was Davidoff of all things, which kind of
that would
makes
be
sense
really interesting
because they're duty free to popularity.
That would be.
We'll see.
That would be interesting.
Got to be free of that duty.
Get your rumors at Rum Brothers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, get your rumors at Rum Brothers. Yeah, I always think when I think of duty free, I think of. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I think of that Seinfeld episode where they're all going to the airport, and they start Kramer and George start singing about going to the duty free shop. Are you a Seinfeld fan?
Yeah. But I'm not sure if I remember that one.
Yeah.
I don't remember that episode either.
And they start singing, "I like to stop at the duty free shop," and they just start singing it in the car.
Now I remember.
Now you have to look it up.
So now I got to look it up.
Yeah, now you have to look it up. So I know whenever people are watching this on YouTube, we're recording this right after a ton of the lists have come out. I think all of them are out now. And congrats, you've made like all of them.
Yeah, I've been fairly happy and surprised by where things are landing. So happy to be on any list. Anytime someone wants to talk about you, I guess is a good thing. Or maybe sometimes. But yeah. I mean, to do the Cigar Aficionado list, which ultimately is still the most important list, because that's the one that everybody follows, and that's the one the world follows. To make that list continuously, that's really kind of like the bonus. It's great to be involved in anybody's top 5, top 10, top 20, whatever. But at the end of the day, as much as I love seeing our name up in lights on all those, podcasts or whatever, that Cigar Aficionado list is still the one.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how much weight like that magazine has for an industry. Like, I don't know what other industry
too much.
So reliant.
Should be in a monopoly.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but it was neat.
In our generation who are disenchanted with it, but
I will say that this year's top 10 for me was kind of boring.
Yeah.
It didn't have any surprises. Like, everybody knew Fuente was going to be in the top spot when you didn't see them in the top 10. So it was just like, okay, yeah, we'll wake up tomorrow and it's going to be Fuente because they're not on the top 10 already. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of lackluster. Are we losing Dylan?
No, there he is.
Stupid spam call. And why does a spam call interrupt I don't know. I guess I should put on like do not disturb, but that's probably beyond my capabilities.
No, but that's interesting what you're saying, because it's like there's always going to be a Padron, there's always going to be the Oliva V Milanio, it seems like, or some iteration of that.
I mean, they all make good cigars, so they deserve to be on the list somewhere.
Yeah.
But we kind of knew, okay, this is going to be it. That's the That's the list, because that's like, as much as we could dream to be number one, when we didn't see Fuente in the top 10, we're like, well, it's not our year. So it's just that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading Half Wheel's list, and when it came, you were on the top 25 there. I think they put you somewhere like 24 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the reason being, and I was reading it. I forget exactly which cigar they put there, but
That one,
they
the one you're smoking.
this one. Oh, well, they were basically like some were like some people ranked it really low, and some people ranked it their top one. I'm like, so it was like a weird split decision on both sides, and I don't know if you see people either
Are you
love or
talking
hate your
about?
brand.
Yeah, but are you talking about the new consensus list where he compiled all the lists together,
Oh, it might
or
have
was
been.
it
No, not it was their list.
their list?
I
Okay,
don't
because
think.
they do a thing called the
Yeah,
consensus, which is
yeah, it
all the
wasn't the
lists that
consensus.
they. I don't know how many hours they take to do this, but they somehow
Yeah,
get the data from every list in the world and mash it up together, and they go,
yeah,
bleh.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. It was their list. It wasn't the consensus list. Yeah,
Well, it's funny because the consensus list had the Lomo de Cerdo on it, the pork
Oh
tenderloin
yeah. Yeah. I saw that.
at like number 15, but it did get a lot of number ones from people. Like it was at the top of a lot of people's lists, number one, number two, number three, whatever.
yeah,
And then there were some people that had it down towards the bottom of the list. So maybe that's where it ended up, somewhere around 15 or
yeah.
something.
But that was Nick Libretti's favorite of yours, the pork tenderloin. Yeah, or what? It was that one, right, Thomas?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still. I remember when that came out, seeing it in the store in the butcher paper. That was such a neat idea. I still haven't tried it yet. I need to. That's on my list of things to try.
Something I did so long ago too. So there's going to be a redux of not that one, but the original one
Oh,
sometime,
cool.
sometime next year probably.
Yeah, I've got a 10th anniversary with the Tuxla. Is it the wrapper that's different?
Yeah, San Andreas. So
Oh,
like
yeah,
right
I'm so
now
excited.
we're releasing the Sumatra versions.
Oh, is that the Capa Especial?
Yeah.
Cool.
So those are
Yeah.
coming.
I'm excited to try that. And I will say, I've when I had the face in October, that was like the first time it like really hit me in the face. I was like, oh, like this is Mexican San Andreas wrapper. Like I get what that tastes like.
Yeah.
And then I went out and I get it.
Yeah.
And then I went out and I had to try the La
Eureka.
Mission. Yeah, I had to try the La Mission 1959, and that cigar blew me away.
Ooh, that was a great one.
Yeah,
Still a
that's so
classic
good.
for us, actually. Like
Yeah.
that cigar still, like we didn't achieve a number one from aficionado. We achieved a number 4. Cigar Snob gave it a number 1 a few years earlier, but that particular cigar does really well for us because it's not over the top strong.
That's
it's
a
just a
great
lot of
one.
flavor. But sometimes, somehow we can't crack the number 1 thing.
One day. Yeah, I heard somebody describe it. Yeah, I heard somebody describe it as chocolate covered almonds, and that's like a perfect explanation of what it tastes like.
Sounds like diabetes.
Yeah, it sounds like diabetes. Yeah, I don't know what cereal would taste like chocolate covered almonds. I don't know, maybe some honey bunches of oats.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I actually had that this
cigar that
morning.
tastes like honey smacks.
Yeah,
Honey frog.
That's hilarious. So,
is there a thing called Honey Smacks?
Yeah, that's the one with the frog on it.
frog.
Look like coffee beans.
Oh, but is that called Honey Smacks or is it called something else? Sugar Smacks.
Sugar Smacks. I think you're right. I think it is Sugar Smacks.
But maybe it came out with Honey Smacks to make it healthy. Less diabetes.
Hold on. Sugar Smacks cereal.
I'm going to come out with a Mexican version called Agave Smacks.
That's funny. My phone's not working. But I think you're right. I think it is. I think it is Sugar Smacks. So I haven't tried everything that you make. So what what else would you recommend, for people who like smoke everything? What should I try next in your brand? Like I've had,
Well, you had the Black Label.
yeah, Black Label, Cab I Juan, the La
Yeah, if you've
Mission.
had Cab I Juan, you've had Cab I Juan with a new label too. Oh yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah.
got one lined up.
I would say if you want to have a little bit of fun, kind of dive into the Surrogate line.
Oh, I've never had those.
Because the Surrogate line, every cigar is different. So you can't expect to like, if you like one, the next one might be shit for you. Or it might be even better than the first one. You don't know. But they're all
cool.
uniquely different.
Is that a core production?
What's that?
Is that core production?
Yeah, that's core production. We call it limited edition for everyday smokers.
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny because I've always seen it in the shops, and it took me forever to realize that was you. And I was like, "What is this? Why do they always put it by the Tatuaje? What is this?" And then,
That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Why does this brand keep on infiltrating the Tatuaje shelf?
Also, so going back to the La Riqueza, are you ever going to re-release this?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what size I'll release. That was like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
I'll do something like that in a different format. But I love the brand. I mean, it's one of my favorite brand names, actually.
Yeah, this cigar ring I just think is so cool. Like it's so classic.
It's actually a copy of the original Cuban band from the 30s.
Oh, neat.
I just put my logo in it instead of the word Habano.
That's smart.
Or Habana.
I remember.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, listening to all your interviews, like over the years leading up to you buying the rights for that and all this stuff. And, yeah, it was cool that it finally came to fruition for you. Yeah, that's an awesome cigar.
I actually have a friend of mine that is a collector of old, tobacco memorabilia from Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually has the original paperwork of the trademark of La Riqueza. He doesn't own it, obviously. He just has the piece of paper that it was filed on.
That's neat.
It's a defunct brand in Cuba.
But
I actually one day want to get it from him. I didn't like have the vibe I didn't have the vibe to say, hey, can I just give me that? You're going to give me that damn thing.
Hey, that should be mine.
That's mine, funny. I tell you. It's funny you say that because there was a guy that opened up a box of this cigar called El Triunfador. He opened a box from the 30s on YouTube, like did the whole presentation of opening up this old vintage unopened box from the 30s. And I sent a message to the guy and I said, is it for sale? He goes, yes, but it's a lot of money. I go, just give me a price. Because I that's one of my trademarks. So I kind of wanted it for history purposes and, to have it part of the Museum of Tatuaje. It's really cool to see the old packaging. And the original idea with that was to eventually replicate it completely with all the packaging identical, obviously without the word Habana or Cuba on it, but to try to do a mimic of the old packaging.
That's cool.
Which I already did, but this was like even more in depth. So I wanted to kind of go a little deeper with the packaging.
You could just put not Cuba,
Yeah, that would work. That would work.
Yeah.
Actually, JR used to have Cuban counterfeits, like pre-embargo
that's what they call them?
Cuban counterfeits.
Oh,
and then it would actually say it would actually have a big counterfeit stamp on it. It would say pre-embargo Cuban and then counterfeit.
That's funny.
It's clever packaging, actually. But Lou Rothman, who created all that, he's a brilliant mind when it comes to packaging.
That's neat. I did try I know you
What are
helped
the
to
odds?
blend. I don't know if you helped to blend or you did blend. You can clear that up. The La Dueña for my father,
No, yeah,
for
that
your
was
wife.
a blend I put together for my wife Yanni.
And I read online that that's like the closest thing to the La Riqueza that's still regular production somewhere. And there is the box press Toro. So I was like, is this going to be? And it was
It's
good.
it's not it's not the closest. I kind of morphed a couple different cigars together to make La Dueña.
Mm,
She loves La Riqueza. I didn't want to make her just La Riqueza, so I decided to do a few little additions of broadleaf in the binder and also the filler.
gotcha.
So it's a very well balanced blend in between Nicaraguan tobacco and Connecticut broadleaf.
Oh, neat.
But yeah, I was just trying to do something a little different. But yeah,
No, that's
it's
a
one of
great
those
stuff.
projects that I took about a year to put it together before we released it. My brother-in-law saw me coming out of the factory rolling room with a handful of them. He goes, "What's that?" And I go, "It's La Riqueza." He goes, "No, no more samples. You need to order." I go, "It's not my cigar. You got to order it yourself."
That's funny.
No samples.
Wait, no more.
No.
Uh,
He knew I was. He knew I took like a year of just smoking
Yeah.
samples. Like, this is your way of getting free cigars. You need to make. You need to place an order.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's funny how much free stuff you can get just being in the industry, but eventually they like, you are you gonna buy that beer? I'm like, yeah, I usually do, but
Yeah, that's funny. Um, I was curious. What is this is kind of out of left field, but it was next on my interview outline.
Oh, this is
It's
an interview. I thought it was just a
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Well, it says interview on the outline, but it really is a conversation. Um, what's the humidor situation like at your house with you and your wife both in the industry?
Well,
Like,
yeah, I don't use. We have a few desktops. You know, obviously, when people come over, we want to have a desktop out so they can grab cigars out of the desktop, and it's usually one of a my father, like one of their humidors that they have, not the fancy humidor, just their everyday, giveaway humidors. And then the rest of them, the rest of the cigars I keep in like giant iris tupperdoors. The
oh,
iris, I think they're
yeah,
called iris ziplocs or something like that, but they're giant like foam topped tupperdoors in a sense, and they work great. So I'll throw like a boost or a boveda in there just to kind of keep the humidity. But a lot of them are a mess because I just keep on throwing cigars in there, and sometimes
yeah,
they're cigars without bands, and I forget. Oh, wait, which one was that?
that's
So right
hilarious.
now, I know what these are because they're sitting on top, and they still have like the cellophane was perforated in a way so the cigars could breathe because they came to me really fresh.
Uh,
So I'm like, okay, those are that cigar. That's easy to tell. But all those ones at the bottom of the bin, I got no clue.
oh,
I'd
that's
have to
funny.
go digging through and looking at sizes, going, "Oh, it's a monster mash."
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I use plastic to store my cigars. I feel like, and I don't know if this is sacrilegious to say, but it's like, why do you even need to use wood when the plastic works so great with Boveda packs? I don't know. What's your thought on that?
I mean, listen, man, I don't sell humidors, so like, I'm okay with agreeing with you on that. But yeah, it probably offends my friends that do sell humidors.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I agree, dude. I mean, I've been using either cooladors or tupperdoors for years. Actually, ever since I started smoking, so over
Oh,
30
wow.
plus years, and they just keep easier, and it's less
yeah,
headache because I always find that wood humidors, and they're great, they're beautiful to look at, but I always find that I end up having to replenish my bovedas in those humidors over and over and over again.
yeah. The wood
Uh,
takes so much. Yeah,
because the wood takes so much, and there's also gaps, air gaps, where it starts to bleed the humidity out. And you would think I shouldn't have to say that in Miami, but inside of an air conditioned house,
Yeah.
it's going to get dry.
Yeah.
So the Tupperware containers actually work great.
Yeah, I'm lucky to
Cool.
get my humidor to stay at 60, especially in the winter. And there's a lot of, just
If I could have a basement in Miami, I would choose the basement aspect because it's going to produce natural humidity. Basements are like absolutely perfect, always cold, and there's always more moisture in a basement than you really need.
That's really interesting. So what do you store your cigars at, like degree and humidity wise?
Well, they're all below 70 degrees because the rooms that they're in are below 70. But humidity levels, I tend to lean towards the higher side. When I say higher side, more closer to 70.
Oh, okay.
I know a lot of people that go 60, 62 for aging, but I really want the cigars to hold their moisture level and also their natural oils.
Yeah.
So if I go too low, I find that it changes the chemical structure of the cigar in some way.
Oh, interesting.
If that's even the right terminology. But anyways.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Yeah. Someone's going to call me out as wrong on that, but
yeah,
I admitted that I was wrong.
Yeah. He was wrong, and he wants to sell smokes to kids.
Yeah. That's our third T-shirt. Sounds good to me. It's Pete's face.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I always find that cigars, when they got to a dry point, they smoke differently, and I like cigars that I can chew on, and I want them to have that moisture.
Yeah.
Like the worst thing I ever saw when I was younger, and I still see it today, is when I see people take a dry cigar and they slobber it up like it's something else. it's just nasty. And I'm not sharing my cutter with that guy, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was a video on it was a clip from Jimmy Fallon where it was Jimmy Fallon interviewing Schwarzenegger, and apparently Schwarzenegger took him out for a cigar, and that's the first thing Jimmy Fallon did at the bar was he'd like lick the cigar up and down. And Schwarzenegger was like, I was super embarrassed. Yeah.
You must leave now.
Oh, that actually reminds me of something I wanted to ask you. So, I'm driving a lot too. I listen to a lot of podcasts. It was cool. Rob Lowe interviewed him for his podcast, who is a big cigar guy. I had no idea.
I had no idea Rob was a big cigar smoker.
And at the beginning, like the first 10 minutes, they talk about cigars because they're smoking cigars at Arnold's house. And he starts off with this rant Schwarzenegger does about how because Rob Lowe asks him, what do you smoke? And he says, I just smoke what people give me. Because when people know that you like cigars, everybody always gets you cigars as gifts. And he was like, oh, they sometimes give me these cigars. They cost like $500,000. And he's like, they think that they're Cubans. But he's like, all I have to do is I smell them and I know if it's a Cuban or not. And if I think they're not a Cuban, I just throw them in the fire. And I was like, oh, geez. He says, like, yeah, I don't even tell them. Like, even if I know they spend a lot of money, I just don't tell them. Is that possible? Can you tell if something is from a certain region just by smelling it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty distinct. I mean, I would say over the years, it's been easier to fool people with, they would then eventually have to light it up. But when I was younger, that's how I identified a lot of cigars. I would go into the humidor, I smell them. I'm like, oh, that's Nicaraguan, or that's Cuban, or that's Honduran, Dominican. Yeah. It was fairly easy to do. Nowadays, I think it's more complicated, but and plus people are making better and better cigars where the Cuban mystique is it's still there, obviously. It's still the strongest in the world, but you're seeing a change definitely. Thanks to the Chinese and Habanos for raising their prices.
Yeah, it's all Jackie Chan's fault.
So Pete, I wasn't given the and this isn't to dig at you, Thomas. I wasn't given the outline of of what we're talking about.
Okay.
I was in a store. I won't mention which one, and I was in the Tatuaje section, and I see on the bottom shelf, look at the cowboy ones, and I see what a lot of people would call plume all over
Mm.
every single box. And so I don't, and
Were
I'm
the
sure
cigars
you've
without
addressed
cellophane or with cellophane?
with cellophane.
And they had plume inside.
Yep, it
You're
Oh,
was
talking about the
a
white stuff, right?
yeah. That's
the white.
just a lot too much humidity.
Uh,
Like big fuzzy patches.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's not plume.
That ain't
um,
plume.
Off the record, I would love to
First
know.
t-shirt.
Off camera,
First
I'd love to
t-shirt.
know who it was.
yeah.
So,
That ain't plume.
So, but is plume a real thing? And just so for our listeners, we're talking about like the little white dots that get all over cigars sometimes.
well, yeah, I mean, okay, so there's mold, obviously, because when humidity hits a cigar and it attaches a lot. A lot of times, it attaches to the head of the cigar. Let me see if I can get this to focus.
Uh huh.
You can't see it here because there's nothing on there, but you see that little dusting on there?
Yeah.
That's what I would consider plume, because and plume's a weird word. People use it in the wrong terminology all the time, but it's kind of like, what I think of plume is when the hairs stand up on the wrapper and it's at its optimal point and it's ready to be used. So when you see that wrapper with that weird little, like, crystals almost
Hmm.
dusting, that's what I consider plume. When I
Yeah.
see patches of fuzzy fuzzy things, that's mold. Yeah, and that's a humidity issue, obviously.
Yeah. And it was weird. It was just that one shelf. I don't know. I guess the
They
humidity was
could
worse at the bottom of the store, but yeah.
were they using, like, can I ask, were they using like a misting type of humidifier, like,
It
or
was
an
a walk-in.
evaporative style?
It was a big walk-in humidor. I didn't really. It was probably a misting style, but
Yeah,
yeah. So
a
if it
lot of times
fell,
the
the
misting
water
stuff
falls. Yeah.
falls down to a certain level. I choose to use, obviously I use it Bovedas or Boosts when I'm putting stuff in these bins, but I choose to use evaporative because I find you don't get all the mineral contents deposited on the cellophane, which is a lot of times turns your cellophane white or powdery looking because it's just
Yeah.
dropping hard water deposits. Yeah, I'm not a big fan
Interesting.
of the
Yeah.
the misting style humidifiers.
Yeah. It's like you're in the produce aisle.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah. So that was a little disconcerting because I wanted to buy some.
yeah.
yeah.
It's just like that's
Hey, don't want
not.
to smoke that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like odd to see too, to have it underneath the cellophane, like
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
It
I
was
would
like
say they need to
yeah.
fix that.
Oof.
I'm gonna go in there. Pete told me you need to fix that.
Hey, I got a message from Pete.
He said he's gonna bring the diabetes if you
The
don't
the
fix
sad part the sad part is I'll get a call from either the store or the sales rep saying they want to return them because they have mold on them. And I'll be like,
no,
I didn't
I
ship them
heard.
to you like that. I did not do that.
So I heard from a
The one
reliable
interesting
source.
part about the glue, the vegetable glue that everybody uses, so when you start seeing a lot of humidity coming into a humidor, that's the head of the cigar is the first part of the cigar that's going to capture it because of the natural sugars in that vegetable glue. So it's the moistest part of the cigar. So the head of the cigar is going to get that little, problem on it first. You're going to see like a few spurs. Honestly, I'll just wipe that off and smoke it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You seriously have a problem when it's inside the foot of the cigar.
Oh,
That's when
interesting.
you have to fix your shit.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Kind of on the not exactly in the same vein. Again, not in the script, but something I've been wondering about. I am a very fast smoker, and some people are like, "You only do one puff every 30 seconds," and I'm like, "I'm not going to sit here and time 30 seconds, because then it's not enjoyable." Do
You're gonna
do
sit,
do
Yeah.
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 puff, pontificate for a while, then go back and puff again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but I saw this on a Cigar Aficionado article where it's like ten mistakes you can make smoking a cigar, and I was like, I need to know, and so I click, and then I read this article,
Clickbait.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm on a different note, but the that was like the number two thing, and I was like, that's such a strange thing, and I I wonder because I usually someone tell me, oh, this cigar will take you an hour and a half. It usually takes me less than an hour, and so I go through a cigar pretty quickly. I can go through a cigar in 45, 50 minutes.
May I
But
ask, were you ever a cigarette smoker?
mm-mm.
Never.
Might just be a nervous tick, but I will
Yeah, I
stop
mean
when it
that
gets
sounds
hot.
like someone
Yeah.
who smoked cigarettes before.
Oh,
I,
interesting.
I smoke fairly slow. I don't count the seconds in between. It's just natural.
Yeah.
You should talk more.
And there you go. Yeah, just when you're driving, just talk in the car.
I also don't. Yeah, I also don't like retouching. I guess maybe it's because I don't want to retouch in the
You
car.
don't want to relight. Yeah. While you're
Yeah, and
driving, you're
yeah,
balancing it on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You're not
and
sure what to do.
I've singed my eyelashes before trying to relight. And
How was your
it's
next
not
sales
fun.
meeting after that?
Yeah. Just with one
No,
eyebrow.
yeah. I think it's just a natural thing. But yeah, if you want to distract yourself in between, you listen to music while you're driving, or do you listen to
Oh yeah,
podcasts, or what do you
I listen to books on tape, music, everything. It's just
take
it
a
just might
moment
be
to
a
listen to one
habit. Yeah.
line
Yeah, yeah.
and then go back?
That's funny.
Yeah. But
Speaking of music,
it just struck me, to my core that someone like said that was a faux pas. And I was like, come on, you know. But
well, yeah,
whatever.
I think
Whatever.
if you know if the cigar's not burning hot, then
Yeah.
you're doing just fine. But if you're smoking too fast and you have like a cone at the end of your cigar where you can't get
Oh
the
yeah.
ash off clean, then you're smoking too fast. But if you don't have that issue, then you're doing just fine. I wouldn't.
Mm.
It's not for
It's
every
just
cigar, and it's not
you're
for
doing
everybody
just
either.
fine. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah, just make the shirt.
yeah,
and
right.
Actually, in between every puff, just say you're doing just
Just
fine,
fine.
just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and say that 3 times, and then go
Yeah.
back to the next puff.
But to tell you something,
I'm sure Tony Robbins will agree.
this
Right.
is not hot at all. Like here I'm at the nub. The ash is right there on my finger, basically, and it is not hot at all. My fingers are also not frozen solid, so it is cold,
Perfect.
but they're not. Yeah, very very
Yeah, that's a
enjoyable.
great
So
smoke.
If it's not
I might be
affecting
at the end.
your if it's not affecting your enjoyment, then don't bother. Just leave it the way it is.
There you go.
And back to our regularly scheduled programming. What?
Oh, well, last time you talked about your connection with the Jonas Brothers, and I want to make sure we get that story in. So, how did you end up being a roadie for the Jonas Brothers when they went on tour?
Okay, so I had a buddy of mine, still friends with him. He works with me on the Saints and Sinners Club that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes by Casper. His real name is Sean Johnson. No relation.
Ah.
Just the same name. At one point, we actually had 4 Johnsons in our office. My brother and I, and then Casper and his brother Kyle. We were all in the same office working together, so it was a little weird. But everybody's like, "Oh yeah, the Johnson family owns that brand." I'm like, "Yeah, but those guys aren't part of the Johnsons."
Yeah.
But anyway, he gets a phone call one day, and they said it was one of the managers. And they're like, "Hey, we're going on tour to South America, and we want you to come down with us to help us with, the tour, like assistant managing and stuff," because he did tour managing for like Jack's Mannequin and a few other bands.
That's my wife's favorite band.
Yeah.
I've
something
seen,
corporate, Jack's Mannequin.
Yep, I've seen him multiple times. Yep.
And we all kind of had like a weird connection. Andrew from Jack's Mannequin, and then Casper and myself, we all used the same accountant. And that's how we kind of got linked up. And then next thing you know, Casper was jumping back and forth from tours, and he also had a merch company. But he had jumped into the cigar business with me, and they called and said, "Hey, we want you to go on tour with us to South America." And he's like, "No, I'm in the cigar industry now. I'm happy. I'm good. I don't need to be away from home." And I was like, "Dude, just hold the phone for a second. Like, just think this out for 1 second. I would love to go on tour, and I don't care if I have to be a roadie, like, or carry their luggage. I don't care. See if they'll take both of us, and they don't have to pay either one of us."
Wow.
The funny part about the whole story is that they agreed to it, and I still got a daily per diem check from the Jonas Brothers, which cracked me up. But the whole time, everybody was like, "What's he doing here? Like, what does he do for the band?" The security people were like, "Oh, what do you do for the band?" I'm like, "No, I'm on vacation." And up until like the last day, I think we were not, it wasn't the last. It was like the last week of the tour. We were in Rio, and I was hanging out with this security guard named Shadow, and he goes, "Ooh. So what do you do for the boys?" I go, "I don't do anything. I'm here on vacation." He goes, "You were serious about that?" I go, "Yeah." Like, I just came here to kind of experience the whole thing. Like, I was in a band, but I never got to go on a real tour. So this was kind of like a growing up thing for me. Like, I had to do it once. And I was carrying their luggage. Like, I was setting up things on the stage, striking the stage, every once in a while, helping the guys set up and strike the stage. I would have to place a mic stand in the middle of like a song, like somewhere in the middle of the stage, blind, by the way, because here I am in the dark trying to figure out where to put this mic stand and forgetting that I'm mic'd up at the same time so they can hear me talking to myself like, "I can't find the spot. I can't find the spot."
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, because we had in-ears in the whole time.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, they did. They had an X, like, it was supposed to be glow in the dark, but I couldn't fucking see it. And long story short, like, I didn't care. Like, if you needed me to carry your luggage to the plane, I carried your luggage. Like, they were nice enough to let me be part of it, and I had an amazing experience for about 45 days in total.
Really cool.
But I was on and off the tour a lot. I jumped off the tour to go to Madrid to see Real Madrid and Barcelona play in the Clásico. And I went back to Uruguay, and then I came back for an event in New Hampshire. So I was on and off a lot, but it was a fun experience, and I made good friends from it too. So
that's cool. Okay. So did you have a huge humidor the whole time?
Yes. We brought a travel case, like a 300 count Pelican. Like, it was actually a Pelican case that Casper had used on multiple tours. And what we did is we bought the foam and we cut out the inserts and put bundles in all the empty spaces.
Neat.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But I actually had to go back, since I was coming back and forth. I actually had to bring cigars back with me a couple times because everybody was smoking.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because the Jonas
everybody.
Brothers are big cigar guys, right?
They're all fairly big cigar smokers. I would say in terms of who does it more, I would say it might be in between Nick and Joe as far as who's smoking the most, and Kevin smokes the least.
Mm.
But yeah,
Come on, Kevin.
Yeah. What's your problem, Kevin?
What's your Kevin? Yeah. We have a
but
good friend
he
named Kevin.
he enjoys them, but he doesn't like go crazy with them.
Yeah, one of them was on Cigar Aficionado's cover, right?
That was Nick. That was actually a conversation I had with him at the Grand Havana Room in Beverly Hills. He told me, he goes, oh, I'm really into this. I'm really into the culture, and I'm really into smoking cigars. So I kept on drilling Cigar Aficionado. I'm like, hey, like this guy, like his dream is to be on the cover of Cigar Aficionado. Because like when you're labeled like a Disney kid for your whole life,
Yeah.
and no one ever wants you to grow up. He wanted to
Yeah.
grow up. Like he wanted
Yeah.
to show people he was a grown man and not a teenager anymore. And so it got a lot of backlash when he was on Cigar
I remember
Aficionado.
that. Yeah.
But it actually opened up a whole nother door for people going, wow, these guys actually enjoy cigars. They're really part of the culture.
Mhm.
And when I say that they were really part of it, they're truly into it. They promote smoking. They smoke when they're traveling. You see them with a cigar in their hand here and there. So it's not like they're trying to hide it.
Mm.
Plus, they are in their 30s. So like, give these kids a break.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. 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 Not quite kids
I'm
anymore.
sure there wasn't a big spike in teenage cigar smoking after he
Yeah.
made the
Teenage
coming
girls
away.
smoking cigars. Yeah.
All of a sudden, everyone's walking down the street and you're like, oh.
No, but I will tell you that I bet you there was a big spike in magazine sales for Cigar Aficionado.
That's true. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. They're under some pillows.
Anything with his picture on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I got a question for you. I've noticed you're listening to a lot of industry interviews that a lot of brand owners are musicians, like you, Michael Herklotz, Ernesto Perez Carrillo, I think plays the
Matt
drums.
Booth.
Yeah, Matt Booth, Perdomo. Like they're all, like a lot of drummers.
A lot of drummers. A lot
Yeah.
of drummers. A lot of drummers. A couple bass players that I know of. Actually, maybe 3 or 4 that I really know of.
Wow.
Few guitar players, keyboard players. Yeah, someone's like, "Hey, we should put a band together." I go, "Nah."
So, what do you think it is about like owning a cigar brand and being a musician? What do you think the correlation is? It seems very common.
I think it's the creativity part. I think it's the part of like writing a song when you're coming up with a new blend. It's very much like creating a new song. And the reason why they write so many songs, musicians write so many songs, is because they want to offer something different, but they also want to play something different and listen to something different themselves. I mean, as a musician, there were times where I would get bored off my ass of playing the same song over and over again, to the point where I would argue with my bandmates, like, can we stop playing that one song? Like, I'm tired of it already.
Yeah.
So like with cigars, you're creating new things to kind of fulfill your own want. We always say that we make cigars for ourselves to enjoy. The bonus is when other people enjoy them. Kind of understand what we do. And musicians, if a musician is writing a song because they think it's going to be a number 1 hit, they're writing it for the wrong reason. That's my opinion. But when they write something for themselves and it becomes a number 1 hit, that's the bonus, right?
Yeah.
That just shows that you did something pure and not out of commercial marketing.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, it was funny. It was like I was listening to these interviews. It's like Michael Herklotz went to school for jazz drumming, and then like Nick Perdomo
not just a school. He went to Berkeley.
Yeah,
He went to the school.
Yeah, and actually, if you look up on YouTube, you can see his senior recital, and it's incredible. Like the stuff he does, it's really neat. I'm super into jazz, so it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, Michael's good people, and he's way above my talent level when it comes to musicianship. I was a good play by ear guy. I never learned how to read music. You
Yeah,
give me
same here.
something to play, and I'll play it. If you need me to fill in for someone, and I've taken some time to practice it, I'll be able to fill in. But if you throw a piece of sheet music in front of me, I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
What? I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
I
the
might as
same
well
way.
be reading, German or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dylan's good at that stuff. He's good. Like he can take the jazz book and he can
Yeah,
play off of that.
I used to do pit orchestras and stuff,
Oh
and
shit!
I haven't read music in a while. It's one of those, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so I could probably pick it back up again, but I haven't done a pit in a while, pre-COVID. But yeah, I mean, I only get to play at church now about monthly, but it's like a mega church thing. So it's a 600 plus people not that
Yeah,
that's why you're doing it, but of course,
It's a
but
crowd.
yeah, it's a crowd.
yeah,
It's an audience.
And
yeah.
we played for a lot of 5 people,
Yeah,
5 people crowds.
I've been there. My most interesting experience playing was uh, at a smoky bar in Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania, and we were opening, and there was no one there when we started, and there was all these rules about like don't wear colors, don't do all of that. I'm like, what is this? It's like a little like hick bar or whatever. And there were so many lights blinding us in the face, and by the time we get off stage, the place is packed, and it's just filled with a lot of young people. And as we're walking out, people are like being thrown up against the wall and wanded. And I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. Okay, I'm glad our set ended. Yeah, but yeah, that was interesting. Not a cigar smoking crowd. They're too tense, too uptight. Yeah, yeah. It was definitely definitely an experience, but I didn't do the bar scene too much, few bits, but
Yeah, we played
um,
all like the fancy clubs on Sunset, the Whiskey, the
Oh,
Roxy,
neat.
off the strip, the Troubadour, the Viper Room, which is literally kitty corner to the Whiskey. So we played all those clubs, had a lot of fun, and started off opening, obviously, and we had to pay for our time slot, which we
Oof.
used to call pay to play back in the you know late '80s, early '90s, which is not a fun thing because if you don't
Yeah.
sell the tickets, you you don't have money for rent type of thing.
Oh, geez, yeah.
But eventually, we were able to move our way up to headlining spots and show
That's
up,
so
and
cool.
people were buying us drinks, and that was the fun part of music. The early part of the music days was a struggle.
No, that's neat. Yeah, I spent some time in Los Angeles and West Hollywood and driving up and down Sunset Boulevard and seeing those signs. It was so cool. And one of my favorite Frank Zappa albums is Live at the Roxy. So
Yeah.
that's so cool that you were actually there and you played on the stage.
Yeah, it was actually a great venue. We got to headline the Roxy a couple times.
oh
Wow,
cool.
that's so neat.
Yeah,
Yeah, highly recommend that. That's like Frank Zappa at his peak. It was like 1974. I love that. That's a great album. Um, so I want to get into uh wine. I know you're a big wine guy, and I'm very much on the outskirts of wine. Um, spending some time in Italy and going to Sicily, trying all the different varietals there. But like French
it's a
wine,
lot of fucking wine, by the way.
yeah, I know. Yeah, God.
Especially Italy, dude. There's so much, so much.
So, yeah, a lot of our viewers, they're mostly, they come for like the spirits content, but wine, introducing, somebody who's big into bourbon or rum or whatever. What's a good way to get into wine? What are some good introductory wines? And how did you get into wine? And what stuff do you like?
I got into wine. So my first job in the cigar business was next to a French restaurant,
Ah,
and the guys from the French restaurant, um, we had the same landlord. Well, the store I worked for had the same landlord as the French restaurant, And the guys from the restaurant would come over to the cigar store all the time and hang out and talk to us and stuff. But then they would also deliver us lunch. And then at the end of the night, store would close. I would go to the bar and I would sit at the bar and have dinner. And I would talk to the bartenders and they would teach me about French wine.
Oh, cool.
So that's really where I started like going, okay, I should go buy some wine to try. And, wine prices back then were way different. You're talking early 90s. Something that's, $70, $80 now was about, $15 back then.
Wow.
So a little bit more accessible. But, I've been through all of France, done Bordeaux multiple times, drank a lot of Bordeaux. That's the majority of my collection. Done a lot of Italy. I have certain varietals that I love in Italy, but a lot of bolder grapes like Sagrantino, which is really hefty. There's a lot of great wines all over the world, but if you want value and age, right now Spain has really hitting the mark for me.
Really?
There's a lot of great wines from Spain. Tempranillo is an amazing grape. Yep. So you can get good value from there, like something that you would spend for the quality you would spend, $80 to $100 in some other region. You're going to end up spending, $40 out of Spain right now. It's not going to last forever. But I mean, you can still go to Bordeaux and get a great $20 bottle of wine. There's great wines that you can get for $20 that what I usually go for just for like a new drinker that wants to experiment with like French wines, I tell them to go for the second labels to the chateaus. So if it's like you name a big one like Chateau Lafite, and then there's Carrois Lafite. Carrois is now, very expensive. It's in the probably, a couple $100 range, but it used to be, $20.
Oh, wow.
But the second labels to a lot of wineries are really good values, and you can actually get a taste of the chateau without paying the price of their premier wine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're always called like, something like Florida Cardinal, and then there's Chateau Cardinal or whatever, or some name like Chateau Tatuaje, and then there's Petit Tatuaje, stuff like that. So those are the better values that you can get, and even at Total Wine, if I can say a store name, which is not an inexpensive store to go to. It's actually fairly higher price than most places. They have a lot of great value wines in that $25 to $35 range that you can get in Bordeaux. They come from the same chateaus that make, the $70, $80 bottles of wine. So there's a lot of choices out there. Yeah. The best thing I could suggest to anybody is to just try. Eat with your eyes for a while. See what looks good to you. See if a label looks cool. And try it and see if you like it. And if you like it, stick with it. To
kind of bring it back to cigar, was it Macanudo just came out with the Flint Knoll wine kind of pairing cigar? I believe that's what it.
Oh, I don't know.
I believe they just came out with that. It's like a $20 cigar, but like it was specifically for pairing with this wine. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Same with California vineyards. You can have some really, really well-known vineyards where they're just selling juice to someone else, putting a different label on it, and it's the same juice, same vineyard, same vintner, and half the price. I don't dabble so much in wine anymore, but I used to represent Ontario-based wines of all things. Which is a very small region, but it's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
But no one wants to pay for it, so which I found out.
That's funny. So when you talk about how you like Bordeaux, and this is me being completely ignorant of wine, that's the region, but it's also like, is the grape varietal also a Bordeaux?
No.
It's a
You're
straight
looking at
blend.
Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. Those
Mhm.
are the three most used grape varietals, and it depends on what region you are inside. So that's the overall zone, I guess.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
there's that's the overall region. There's a bunch of sub regions like Pauillac and Pomerol or Saint Emilion or Grabs. There's these little pocket regions within the bigger region of Bordeaux. So you can actually get a lot of great things from Saint Emilion. But if you go just outside of Saint Emilion, there's a place called Côte de Bordeaux, which used to be called Côte de Castillon.
Mhm.
And Côte de Bordeaux, Côte de Castillon was the original name, and now it's Castillon de Bordeaux or Côte de Bordeaux. And that's where you get like some of these younger producers and really good values. So like you can get stuff in the 20s. I mean, over there you can get them in the 10s and the 15s. But
Mhm.
yeah, that just step outside the region a little bit. You don't have to sit in those most popular named regions because those are the ones that are going to demand the higher price point. But if
Gotcha.
you
Yeah.
step outside just outside those regions, there's a lot of amazing wine.
That's
You
really
just have
Do
to
you
cool.
find those?
you have to go searching.
Do you find those are the best wines to age? I've always heard Bordeaux's are usually the ones that age the best. But
Yeah, I find that the Bordeaux stuff ages really, really well. I mean, I have wine. I mean, I opened up for my birthday back in the pandemic, my 50th birthday, which was in 2020. I got to spend it during the pandemic, and I opened up
Woohoo.
6 bottles of 1970 wines from Bordeaux, and they were
Wow.
all absolutely fabulous. They were from the top producers, and luckily, these bottles I had since you know a really long time, so I knew their provenance. Like I didn't have to worry whether or not they're
yeah,
kept in bad conditions. But and I keep my wine at a particular level, and I don't move it a lot, so it I've been fairly lucky not to spoil any wine. Which
mm,
I bought a lot of spoiled wine, unfortunately, but I haven't spoiled any myself.
it just makes sangria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
nothing like a great sangria with a 40-year-old bottle of wine.
Yeah,
no, I see your Instagram posts where you like when you have the bottle and the cork, and it's like, and I look at the label, it's like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
that's an old bottle of wine. But that's so cool. Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, and some of those bottles I paid nothing for because I've had them this whole time.
Oh
So
wow.
I started collecting wine in the early,
so you stole them.
Yeah.
early, yeah. I mean, based on the price, I did steal them. But I started collecting wine in the '90s, so I was able to accumulate a lot of stuff at fairly good price points. I have some bottles that I paid, which was a lot of money for me back then. So in the even late '90s, I bought a bottle for $175, which was too much money, but I knew I had to have it, and
Mhm.
I still have that bottle. And when I looked that bottle up recently, it was closer to like $3,000. And I'll
Whoa.
never
It's an
sell it. I'll
investment.
just enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's an investment. What are you
Yeah.
going to do with it? I'm going to drink it. Well,
Yeah.
it's no longer an investment.
It's an investment in my tummy.
Yeah,
I get off on being able to to investment in my stomach, in my tummy. I get off on like finding like stuff in my cellar that I paid $15 for,
Uh-huh.
and then I look at the price, and then I'll put it on Instagram. Like I paid $15 for this, and people are like, "Where'd you get it for $15?" I go, "Dude, I bought it 20 years ago for $15. It's now $75."
That's cool.
so what's bigger in that? I mean, there's obviously an advantage on size with the wine, but do you have a bigger wine cellar or humidor situation in your house?
Uh, no, I probably have for sure more cigars. If I had to count stick to bottle, I would have more cigars.
So like square footage dedicated to wine.
Square footage, yeah, wine. Well, that depends. You know, the office humidor is basically my humidor, so I guess the square footage rules over on cigars over wine.
That's funny. So what? Just for like wine's do's and don'ts. Do you or should we be like decanting wine? Like, what's your thoughts on decanting or aerating or using the proper glass?
I have a very backwards thought process on wine, and wine guys will probably be offended by this.
Swig from the bottle.
No, well, I've done that. I like decanting wine when it's young because I want the air to get to it and I want to let it open and sit there for a while. But when it's an older bottle, I've had some older bottles that I've opened, and within, like, if I don't have anybody enjoying it with me, like my wife, I bought her a bottle of wine from her birth year. We were in San Emilion at the chateau that we were staying at. And it was a great bottle of wine from her birth year. Not the best vintage. So, you know, she's a great vintage, but the wine wasn't, right?
Oh, yeah. There you go. That was good. Here's another T-shirt. Yeah.
And by the time I got to she decided to pass out on me. And then I'm like, I'm going to finish this bottle. By the time I got to the third glass of it, it was like vinegar. So if I had decanted it, if I had put that in a decanter, I probably wouldn't have made it through one glass.
You would have ruined it. Yeah, you would have ruined it. Yeah.
Too much air.
I'm just thinking of Mr. Carson and Downton Abbey decanting, because they had all the sediment in the bottle, and the little turny thing, and the decanting and out.
Yeah, I mean there are obviously with sediment. When it comes to sediment, obviously I would rather watch a sommelier pour out a bottle where they put it over a candlelight, and they kind of see the sediment like collecting it on that tilt of the bottle, and they know where to pour the ultimate amount without getting any sediment in your glass or in the decanter. I mean, it's not that I don't decant old bottles, because I have, but to watch a sommelier do it where they really take their time and pour it out. My problem with that is they always leave like, a good amount of wine in the bottle. And I'm like, I'm going to drink that, dude. I don't care about that. I don't care about the sediment. That's protein.
So piggybacking off the sommelier and stuff, is there any, in beer there's the Cicerone and sommelier for wine. Is there any equivalent for tasting cigars? I know there's stuff for making cigars, but not like is it
like a certification?
I don't think there's I'm not sure if there's a recognized thing. There was a guy going around trying to sell like cigar sommelier pedigrees or whatever.
Just a guy.
I thought it was kind of bullshit. I mean, to be honest, I mean, because you got to remember, real wine sommeliers, part of their class, their schooling for the longest time, I don't know if they still do this, but part of their schooling for a long time was cigars. They had to learn the culture of cigars and, presenting a cigar to a client. This dates back to when, cigars were, being smoked in restaurants. So it was part of the ritual. So that was part of their schooling. So when they would do their, their levels of sommelier, they would learn about cigars along the way.
Huh. I didn't know that. We learned something new.
We did.
Yeah, I don't know if they still use that in the wine sommelier world, whether or not that's part of their curriculum, but it was for a while. Probably bigger in the 90s, 80s, and 90s, though.
It's probably like marijuana reference, now, but, Anyway.
Wait, what?
I'm getting a notification on my thing that there's a button that I can click for echo cancellation. Am I getting echo because I can click the button to get rid of the echo.
I heard you echo once, but that was it. Yeah, maybe click it just in case. I don't think it'll hurt.
It won't let me click it.
Okay. Oh, you're fine. I don't think there's any.
It can't be changed during the recording. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
So echo away.
Is there a wine you'd recommend for pairing cigars?
No, because every cigar is different and every wine's different. So I would have to give you a specific cigar and a specific wine, and it might not be good for you.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, it's great for me. I know I like smoking certain cigars of mine with Bordeaux wine, but the next guy that does the exact same pairing might hate it. So,
well,
so speaking about you, I'm smoking the Cab I Want. What would you pair with this if you had it? If like I'm smoking Cab I Want, I want a glass of wine.
I would probably go with some type of white, but like a white with like maybe a white Bordeaux or even a white Rioja. Just to kind of pair with that wrapper. I might start pairing, certain red wines with some of the darker stuff that we do. But that particular cigar for sure, a really refreshing white, and even a white Rioja, which is just really a mouthful and very supple, and it will just marry well with that cigar. But again, personal opinion.
Yeah.
Well, what's your
box of these? I don't know why this is box worthy and haven't sprung for it yet, and it's just like every time.
What size is that?
I need a box of this.
That's a little 52, right?
Bigger.
Well,
I don't. Yeah, this is.
Let me see the size, total size. Have you ashed it yet?
54. Cab I Want number 54. Yeah.
The number 54, the medium size.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like the 52 a lot.
Yeah, this is a little bigger than I normally like, but I like this a lot. It's perfect draw, great construction, great burn, and then the flavors are amazing. And I can, like you talking about the little hairs on it and everything. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I love that.
This was the one in that one store that was all covered in mold. So I found it in another store today, not covered in mold.
Yeah, my favorite size in that. I love the Perfecto one that came out last year or 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That one's fantastic.
Yeah, the Britannica.
That one.
Yeah, the Cab I Want. Yeah, fabulous.
I got a box of those. Those are fantastic.
That's a great one. Yeah.
But I think my favorite might be the Bellicoso. I think that's what, a 5 1/4 by 52.
The Cab I Want Bellicoso would be 5.5 by 52.
Okay, yeah, that's a fantastic size. And like we talked about last time, I love the shaped cigars. Those are.
I'm glad that you like shaped cigars. It's not a popular thing. It's funny because looking at like the top 25 in Cigar Aficionado, I'm seeing that they like shaped cigars, but for some reason the culture of torpedoes and Bellicoso finos has like kind of diminished. It's not as popular as it used to be. I mean, Monty Twos used to be like the most popular cigar back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Everybody wanted a box of Monty Twos, but torpedoes have kind of like tapered off a lot. It's weird. We still sell a lot of them, but they don't sell as much as they used to.
Yeah, torpedoes are probably my favorite. And it just the presentation is just very, very nice. And I've always, especially if I'm buying a cheaper cigar, I prefer buying a cheaper cigar in a torpedo. It just seems a little classier. I don't know.
Like you got a little bit more value out of it. Yeah, it's a harder cigar to roll. So.
Yeah, a question about that. So I've always read that the more experienced rollers roll shaped cigars, but does that mean that like those cigars are better constructed cigars than like a Parejo?
No, it's just, the hands that roll them, they happen to do a better job with making that shape. That's
okay.
It. Doesn't mean that it's better than the guy who makes the Churchill.
Oh, okay.
Like we have a lady in the factory here in Miami that rolls everything.
Oh, really?
Like she rolls the most expensive cigar we make, which is a diadema shaped cigar, which is a long perfecto, a very long perfecto. But she rolls regular parejos. It's the same roller. I mean, she's qualified just to roll everything. But
Wow.
there are some rollers that just master, the parejos.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you get rollers that are used to rolling parejos, and then they get to like a torpedo and they overbunch the head because that's where it starts to taper down. You want to make sure that it's got a little bit more airflow to it. And what they end up doing is they're thinking they're still rolling a parejo, and they end up squeezing a lot of tobacco up towards the head of the cigar, and you end up having a knot right around the band.
Huh.
That's another Seinfeld episode.
My Cubans.
Yeah.
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 So you're a Seinfeld fan.
Yeah.
You're Seinfeld fans. My first job in the cigar industry, where I stayed for a couple of years, was this place called Gus's Smoke Shop. And when they would show a cigar store on Seinfeld, it wasn't in New York City. It was actually the store I worked in.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Gus's Smoke Shop was the storefront that you would see.
Oh, that's
Seinfeld.
funny.
Are you in any episodes just like?
No. No, but my boss was actually in an episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you see them walking out the front of the cigar store, and that was my boss.
Yeah, because Larry David was a big cigar guy. I remember there was an interview.
At one time.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I saw an interview with it was the comedians in cars getting coffee, and Jerry Seinfeld.
Larry David though.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But Jerry Seinfeld was saying that Larry David, every day of shooting after lunch, he would have a cigar in his office, and people would come to talk to him. And it was funny. You should look up the clip. It's hilarious because Larry David talks about the difference between cigar smokers and cigarette smokers. It's like cigar smokers, they take more time, but cigarette smokers, it's like, it's like I got to get to the next thing. Got to like, what's next? What's next? But if you have a cigar in your hand, you have time. You're able to think, process things. You're able to pontificate.
Yeah, say I am worthy in between. Yeah. I am doing fine.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah.
count your 30 seconds. I don't know. Did it say 30 seconds? Because I've always heard a minute between every puff.
Yeah.
No,
I've heard.
According to Cigar Aficionado,
it was 30
seconds before the 12 pound.
Yeah, we need to write.
I mean, you see how quickly I'm going through this, but I'm enjoying it. So I'm not breathing fire right now. So
we need to write Dave Savona a letter.
I cried to sleep when I read this article.
Well, I think it was Zeno Davidoff, if I remember correctly. I can't remember who said it, but it was like always a minute between each puff. So if you want to go, if Dave Savona wants to go against Zeno Davidoff, there's a problem.
Yeah. Are you going back to Shaped Cigars? I remember a few years ago when you had the Perfectos half wrapped in foil. Are you think you're going to re-release those at some point, or?
Well, yeah, I make them every once in a while. The big one, the RC 233, I just made a small batch last week.
Oh wow!
But they're going to take some time to age, obviously, and then put in boxes. So you won't see those until later this year. But I when I say small batch, it was like a total of 350 cigars.
Oh wow, that's small.
Yeah. So it's a really small production. Like those big perfectos, like the Salomon, the RC 184, or the 233. We probably make under 500 a year sticks, not boxes.
Wow.
Single cigars. So it's not a big production. And it's usually around the holidays where people want to grab those. So that's where they tend to sell. So you'll probably see them closer to the holiday.
So one thing I've been getting a lot into like these small boutique cigars, and do you consider Tatuaje still kind of in that newer, like, are you are you in that legacy brand? Do you consider yourself in that tier, or how do you see your company right now?
Yeah, that question came up recently. If you look at the production levels that we do in Miami, it's very boutique.
Mm.
Very boutique. If you look at the production levels we do in Nicaragua, not so boutique.
Hmm.
If you look at the history of the brand at, now in our 21st year, yeah, we're kind of getting into that legacy, uh,
Mm.
level, but we're not at the level of like brands like Fuente or Padron
Of
or
course, yeah.
Oliva, or even my wife's company, my father's cigars, which we started at the same time, but they're kind of like in that legacy group. That's a brand
Mm.
that you have to have in your store. There's a lot of stores that don't need to have Tatuaje, which, you know, it sucks to hear, but
Yeah,
at the
screw
same
them.
time, it's, we purposely kept our business on the smaller side because I like it
Sure.
that way. It's less stress.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I like to say that we're in purgatory right now. We're
Hmm.
we're at the top end of maybe creeping out of boutique, but not quite legacy. So I'm just kind of in limbo
Are,
somewhere.
are you the Sam Adams of craft beer? Kind of, you know, yeah.
That's what I was thinking
So,
too.
No, I'm like the Yingling.
Hey, Yingling's great. You
Now
know,
Yingling has been around forever, right?
yeah.
It's one of the oldest beer brands out there in the country, but
yeah.
it's going through this renaissance right now where people are like buying it up like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, us being from Maryland, like Yingling was like the beer everybody like Yingling and National
Yeah.
Bohemian. Those were the two brands everybody drank.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
I don't even know the other one, but I know Yingling.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah. Natty Bug, the Baltimore thing. It's
yeah,
not
it's a
even made in
Baltimore
Baltimore
beer.
anymore.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's
It,
got
it was it was college.
So are
the
you
black.
Ravens fans?
No, we grew up closer to Washington, so we were the Commanders,
Yeah. So
Commanders
Ah,
and
we're
Nationals.
very yeah. The Nationals gave us a win. The football team is
Yeah, I
they're
kind of fell
they're
off with
they're
them.
stabbing the heart every year. But
isn't that doesn't Magic Johnson have something to do with that team now?
they just
Yes,
bought
yeah,
they
he went
just
in
bought
with
it. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
forget the name of the other guy who bought it. But yeah,
Are they
I
gonna
Something.
change the name?
Don't. Yes, they will. They
They
will.
will.
Yeah. Um,
Bring back
I
the
don't
old
know
name.
what. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what happens. I kind of loved Washington football team because that's what I said they should be called. Like I said that for years, and they were talking about changing the name. It's like if you're gonna change it, just change it to Washington
Well,
football
Thomas
team.
said it, so you know.
Yeah,
I want to
like
go back to the whole time in between smoking puffs, right? Is there a rule with in between sips of an alcohol? Like, is
I
there
don't
a
think so.
time that because I might be like considered a complete like drunk or something because I tend to
I'm
Well,
in my
I ran
third
out
beer right
I
now,
ran
but
out I can't get up to get anything so
yeah, my two
yeah,
glasses are empty.
I have a bunch of beer right next to me. That was I pre-planned. No, but
so in between each sip I am worthy I can do better
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just yeah, that's
30
hilarious.
seconds.
Yeah, but
I don't like drinking with heat. It's very spastic. But going back to the boutique, is there any up and coming brand to watch for? I mean, I like seeing what people are doing all around, the place, and of course they're popping up everywhere. And there's some online retailers that specialize in the boutique brands, and so I've been
Yep.
able to kind of uh, to get
there,
a mix of
there's a
stuff from all
lot
over the
of
place.
there's a lot of great small brands out there. There's one brand that I really like because I really like the owner. It's called Dapper Cigars. This
ooh,
kid named Ian Wraith
hmm.
or Wraith. I think that's how I pronounce his name, or how well, I know how I pronounce it, but I'm not sure how you pronounce it. um, yeah, Dapper Cigars. I think he's doing the right thing, and I think he's pretty creative on the products that he comes to market with.
Is he in Miami
So
too?
no, I don't know where Ian's at. I think the cigars are made out of Nicaragua,
Mm-hmm.
but Ian's a good example of a younger brand that's doing really well. But I think he's already close to. I think he might be close to 10 years old already.
Really?
I'm not sure if it's that long, but brands like Foundation, obviously Nick Melillo, who is a great
Oh yeah, I love this
blender,
stuff.
great cigar
Mm.
maker. I'm a big fan of what Nick does, and obviously our good friends John Huber and the Crown Heads people. Um, so these are brands that have been around for a long time, but they're also good smaller companies and good.
Mm.
They procure really good cigars. Um, so I don't know. There's a few others, but if you want to look at a good up and comer, well, up and comer is a bad word because he's been around for a little bit, but Dapper.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll
I,
check
I
that out.
haven't I haven't heard of them, so yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Um, yeah, there's just been a bunch of. It's great. I mean, there's cigar brands popping up all over the place. It's like it's not as bad as breweries, but
Yeah, it's not as
Oh
bad
yeah,
as craft beer. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a little bit of you can't just grow tobacco anywhere. You can make beer anywhere. You can't just grow tobacco anywhere. But
yeah, true.
yeah, it's neat, kind of delving into what other people are doing.
Well, I mean,
It
there's
sounds like
factories. You talk about breweries. Like you can make beer anywhere. The reality is that a lot of cigar makers, like I have a different situation because I'm part of this family and that
hmm
actually manufactures, so I'm more involved in the process than
Hmm.
most people.
Yeah.
But there are factories that all they do is they make cigars for other people.
Huh.
So if you
yeah.
want your own free private label, there's a few factories in Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic you can go to tomorrow and get a private label done very easily.
All right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Rum
You-
Brothers, but budget line,
yeah.
yeah, rail rum, rail rum. That's what it
Oh,
is. Yeah,
rail. Yeah. Yeah. Or
rail.
the rail
Yeah,
rail line of
yeah,
cigars. That's hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm super impressed with what AJ Fernandez does because he makes a ton of the foundation stuff, like the Tabernacle line,
hmm
and I think he makes a few others. The Charter
He makes
Oaks.
he makes a lot of cigars for a lot of
Yeah, it's
people.
crazy. And yeah, and I
hmm
Yeah.
mean his own brand is amazing too. The New World. We especially
Oh
love the
yeah.
New World Dorado. Yeah, it's great
Mm.
stuff. So I know I heard something about my father having a farm in Honduras or something, like something branching into Honduras. Do you
Yeah.
think
Oh
are you gonna take any tobacco from that farm too to experiment with?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've actually already tasted some of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's actually it's nice because it gives us
yeah.
a new chord to play. You know.
Oh, that's a fun
So
way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
when you said I tasted some of it, I just imagine you like a goat. You
Eating
see
it
it,
like a
you know.
sandwich.
No, Pete, no, Pete, no, no, no,
You're
Pete,
supposed to
no.
smoke it. Yeah.
Don't do that. You're not supposed to eat it. It's funny you say that because I was on the farm one time with a group of people, and there was a younger guy in the group that said, "So how do the farmers like know what varietal of tobacco to put in the ground, and or how do they know that the soil's good?" I go, "Well, some of the old guys they actually taste the soil." And I watched that kid pick up a bunch of dirt and put it in his mouth, and I was like, "That's an old wives' tale," but
That was actually poop you just ate.
Yeah.
Anyway,
A
yeah.
horse just walked by. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can eat the dirt, but just don't drink the water.
Yeah.
no, no.
That's hilarious. So, for the Honduran tobacco, do you think you would that go into a new line, or is being ignorant of blending, is that something you could put into current lines you have?
No, I won't put in anything current. And if we do anything with, it's hard to like change something you've been doing forever
Yeah.
Sure.
and automatically switch something up. Like in 2006, late 2006, we were kind of forced to switch wrappers on the original brown labels out of Miami because we were having a tough time getting wrappers from the current suppliers that we were using. And we found a new supplier that had this great Habano Ecuador that no one was using at the time, but we were like gung ho for it. We're like, okay, we have to switch it up. We have to use something more consistent. And I made sure that I told everybody right out the gate, like, we switched to this wrapper because I didn't want people thinking that we were using the same wrapper this whole time.
That's right.
That wrapper now today is probably the most popular wrapper in the world to use. And it's because Pepin, and myself and the people that Pepin worked with were buying a lot of it to use, and it became like this thing. It had a bad reputation in the earlier years where, like 2001, 2002, people were finding problems with the way it burned. And eventually it corrected itself and they processed it correctly. And there was actually no problem after that. And we found in 2006, it was just a great flavor and a great burn. And it didn't change the blend enough to where people would be like, oh my God, you changed it completely. With the Honduran thing, I would probably go for new projects.
That's cool.
What I did when we were in the factory last year, I took one of the leaves that we were looking at and I rolled it on top of my cigar I was smoking just to see how it changed the cigar I was smoking. But yeah, we'll start with blending like a blend of Honduran and Nicaraguan and whatever wrappers we want to use from maybe different countries to come up with something new. But eventually it'd be nice to see something more dominated by Honduran tobacco also.
Oh, cool.
But it'll be a new thing.
That's neat. No, it's very exciting. So what would be the soonest we would see something from Honduras?
For me, probably if I were to do anything, it might be 2025.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're just tasting it in its youngest form, early stages of fermentation, and you can start using Seikos somewhere within the year. Viso's a little after that, and Ligeros you got to wait a little longer, right?
Oh well.
But
you got to wait on them Ligeros.
Yeah. So I think if anything, you might see something for early next year.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe 2025 is next year. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, for all you kids that were born in 2000, you're 25 years old next year.
That's crazy. Oh,
I go for the simple math, It's
yeah.
really...
Oh God.
So, but you were born in 70, so it's easy.
Really simple.
Yeah.
Same with our dad. He was born in 50, so
Well, yeah. My father-in-law
was
was born in 1950.
Oh, cool.
And
yeah,
my brother-in-law and I were both born in 1970, so that's really easy.
That's cool.
It's complicated when my parents, they were born in 1944, so I know they're going to turn 80 this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're from Maine, aren't you? You're from New England.
Yeah.
So I'm recently moved to Massachusetts, getting used to this snow and cold. Coming from Maryland, it's a bit of a change. Do you miss New England?
Yeah.
Do I miss the snow and the cold weather? No. But I love wearing jackets.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that Miami's kind of chilly. So I can actually wear a jacket. It's kind of nice. Like I have more jackets in my closet than I have anything else.
That's funny. Yeah.
But I never get to wear them in Miami.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. I was checking out cigar stores near me, and there was one that was like, their tagline was like, "We're not rude, we're New England nice," which I thought was hilarious. I was like, nah, that might just be rude. I don't know.
It's still kind of rude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting like, it's a wonderful place. I do love it up here. It's just very different than what I'm used to. For
Where
sure.
in Mass are you?
Franklin.
Oh, okay.
So
outside the city.
Yeah, so southwest of Boston, kind of in between Providence and Boston. Yeah. So I went to LJ Peretti's, which was really cool, and I also exploring all of the places in Providence. We talked about Lou's Cigar Bar. where I had my first tatuaje. It was excellent. And actually, when people walk in, because I was there one night.
You go to Tel Aviv?
No, I haven't been there.
Yeah, you should.
All right, I'll check it out. But whenever people would walk in and be like, "Oh, I want to smoke something," and like give me something that, easy. I don't really know anything about cigars. They would go off the shelf and they'd always pull the Cab I One Bellicoso and hand it to the person. So I was like, "Hey, that's pretty cool."
Awesome.
Like, I know that cigar. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Rob and Mateo at Lou Cigar Bar. They're cool guys. But yeah, New England's a different place. Yeah,
I grew up. I left when I was 18 to LA to do the music thing, and very happy to get out of the cold weather. Yeah, I mean, when you're in it, you kind of get used to it, but you're never really used to it when it's just blistering cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happier in warmer weather, but I don't like when it's extremely hot. I want to go to the beach when it's extremely hot because that's like there's a purpose behind it. Sometimes in Miami, it's so hot and so humid that it's unbearable. So there's a lot of times I just don't like sitting outside. I'm sitting outside in my courtyard and it's kind of breezy. It's a little chilly enough to, I have like an under layer and the jacket on it. I'm super comfortable.
Oh, well, there you go. This is like,
and I have a little bit of rum in me. Not enough, obviously.
Yeah, I need to learn more about Miami because all I know about Miami is from Scarface. I'm sure you hear that a lot.
I posted.
That's all I know.
I posted this one day. I think it was like during the middle of the pandemic, and the identification thing came up, and I was like, "Well, I identify as a Cuban. I take offense to Scarface."
Yeah,
because it was part of what Miami was, obviously, but it definitely was not at the same time.
Right,
it was a good movie.
Yeah, Al Pacino blows me away. Well, it's funny. It's like we have relatives who were like offended by The Godfather and like refused to see it because they, being in New York City, way back when, they suffered a lot of discrimination. But the hilarious other part of that is they filmed a lot of The Godfather on Staten Island. So apparently there's like our family is in the background of some of those scenes where they were like, all Italians turn out so we can be in the wedding scene and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't know if it's true, but that's the family legend.
Yeah.
I had an old friend. I think he passed. I hadn't seen him in years. He used to be a lighter sales rep for me, and his claim to fame, he died on the steps of, was it, I think, Godfather 3, maybe? Was it?
In Sicily at the Opera House?
Yeah, which was not filmed in Sicily, obviously. But yeah, he died on the steps somewhere. I think it was Godfather 3.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's how it ends. The big shootout. Yeah. Oh, I'll have to check that out. That's funny.
I never watched Godfather 3 because a lot of people, I didn't say that. Godfather. I don't know if my tongue's freezing.
Godfather, yeah.
Godfather. But, well, like our grandmother lived in the first movie where he shoots in the diner where he shoots the cop and the other guy, that was like right where she lived when she was
it was all shot around
up.
there.
Yeah. But
I haven't watched it in a while. I watched it sometime in the last year. I sat down and watched The Godfather. I fell asleep about 6 times during it, but it's such a long movie that you forget about it. But no, what a the horse in the bed scene, that was still
it's crazy. all of the different characters in that. Yeah, it's so good. But what's an amazing movie to smoke cigars with, to pair with your cigar, is Casablanca. I watched that and like I had a cigar and like what a great movie to smoke with because of course
I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen it since I was maybe a kid. Like maybe I watched it when I was a kid, but I don't remember. I mean, I obviously know the movie, but
yeah,
I don't think I've actually sat down and actually watched it.
Oh, you got it. So get like a big screen, get a projector, watch it outside like I did. And it's amazing. Like, and, everybody says it's the greatest movie ever, but then I watched it. I was like, oh yeah, it totally is. Yeah, but it's just so fun to be there. And if you're smoking while everybody else is smoking, you feel like you're a part of the movie. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of movies, what were you going to say, Dylan?
So Dylan doesn't have the script, so
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just gonna, since my thing like restarted a bunch of times, I have no idea how far into this we are. And Pete, we're happy to hang out, but I also don't want to.
Oh yeah, we don't.
I'm good. I'm just praying that my battery keeps on charging and it doesn't just go off, because my camera will literally close. The only thing it might do is it might switch me to my webcam picture, like the one on the computer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, Pete. I totally lost track of time.
No, I don't care. I'm
All right,
good.
Great.
I'm on my second cigar.
Well, there we go. Do you need to get more rum?
I might be on my
pause.
third.
Oh yeah, actually.
Yeah, let's pause. Go get some more rum.
I'll pause.
I should totally do that. Yeah, don't pause. I mean, you don't want to fucking be recorded.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll keep it going.
Is I told you, I'm like kind of squeezed into this little space. I'm going to try to get up without disturbing my position.
Well, you guys got back at the same time. That was pretty cool.
It was like we planned it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I changed it to a Florida Cana 18 because today's the start of the Nicaraguan Cigar Festival. So
cool.
I figured I'd give a little shout out to Por Sabor.
Yeah, they make
Florida
fantastic
Cana is
stuff.
also the one of the sponsors of the festival. So
that's neat. Yeah, that's one of our favorite bottles, Florida Cana 18.
I want to get the 25 because it comes in the volcano box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not cheap anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could have bought it when it was. Oh well.
Yeah, that's one of the things we love about rum is you can get a 12-year rum for like $40 to $50, whereas like a 12-year whiskey is like $100. It's crazy. It's the value of rum, you get so much more for your dollar than you do whiskey nowadays.
I'll tell you, I tasted a barrel strength rum one time that was, and it's hard to find a rum distiller that will actually do this.
Yeah.
But I was with a guy that kind of procures alcohol from all over the world, and he had a barrel strength rum that I was in love with, but it was a beast. It was super dark, like way darker than anything else, but it had been sitting in the barrel forever too.
Wow. Yeah, one of my new favorite Irish whiskeys, we had this, we went to a cigar bar and we paired it with Opus X Destinos, which were out of this world. But we had I got Dylan a pour of Stag Junior, which I think this bottle actually was a junior, or maybe it was just Stag. I can't remember. But Blue Spot
Junior.
Irish whiskey, that is amazing. I don't know if you're familiar with the spot whiskeys like Green Spot, Yellow Spot, Red Spot.
Yeah, but that was a good Blue Spot.
Great whiskeys.
Yeah, in the last few years, they came out with Blue Spot, which is a cask strength 7-year-old, which was out of this world. It was so good. And then Gold Spot is I think it's like 110
it's also
or maybe around.
right?
Yeah, no, that's 9 year. Gold Spot is a 9 year. But those are the bottles that are like $150, $200 now.
Yeah.
But those, if you can get a pour of those are fantastic.
Well,
Some of the best Irish
they
whiskey I've
might be more, because during COVID they allowed European 700 milliliter bottles to come over. So I think that kind of opened the door for more variety for Irish whiskeys too. And
Plus, Irish whiskeys have also allowed more experimental stuff. They're able to use different barrels from different things now more than they used to be able to. Like I did a program with Clonokilty, which is a Irish whiskey, and they aged their whiskey in bourbon barrels that were used to age an imperial stout.
Wow.
So they went from the distillery to a brewery, and then they aged their whiskey in the imperial stout barrels.
Was it good?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
I was like, would there be anything left in the barrel?
They did a cigar blend. Like they called it cigar blend. It's called Clonokilty. They do pot still.
Yeah. I think we might have talked about it last time. And actually, because my wife's family is from that region in Ireland, so we went a couple of years ago, and we did talk about it last time. Yeah. We went right by it. It's a beautiful distillery. We should have stopped. I don't know why we didn't. It's probably because I was, with my wife's family.
Face pressed against the window. Stop.
Yeah, I was like, stop, please. I want to stop. Let me off. Why won't you let me off?
Just let me be me.
Yeah.
I just want to dance.
I'm worthy.
Another t-shirt. Just let me be me.
Let me. Man, we have a whole line of Tatuaje t-shirts after this.
So Pete, here I don't know how YouTube friendly this is, but I need to talk about this. I made a reference before about marijuana and stuff. So when I was going through my whole life, I'm falling asleep at the wheel. My doctor like, oh, Barry, you're stressed, blah blah blah. It's like, and I'm like, well, I'm smoking cigars, and some people are like, oh, smoke cigars, and then like in the very next breath, have you tried marijuana? And I was just like, are you serious?
While you're driving.
Like, yeah, and it's just like, this is okay. Like, inhaling, like, a mind-altering thing in my lungs is okay, but, and, like...
Yeah, I don't get it.
It ticks me off to no end, because it's just like, it keeps me awake, keeps me focused, and relaxes me. Surgeon General warning, yes. It's not healthy, kids, but... Okay, we might have to cut this. Yeah, but I've seen many benefits that no doctor will legally say exist. So,
after this clip, you can clip on the other part where I say I'm promoting cigars to kids.
Right? Yeah, we'll just make these all Instagram reels.
Oh, jeez. I might get kicked off the CRA board if they hear those.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Chewing on a piece of tobacco at the same time.
Yeah.
Raw tobacco plant.
Yeah. No, I felt very proud. I felt very proud. We started our Instagram last week, and Cigar Rights of America follows us. I was like, yes, we made it. Cool. Yeah. So we relate to the social
making
media
sure that
game.
you talk about safe practices.
Yeah. Yeah. We're late to the game, but we're getting there. And, I feel dumb because, like, we lived in the D.C. area, and they're all based in the D.C. area, but I never went to any of the events. It's like, man, I really missed out.
Well, now I can.
Now you can go. Yes, yeah, you can go without me. Yeah.
It's a me, a rum brother. I'm here.
Yeah, I just pull out like that, like a Mario accent. So speaking of like those organizations, how do you feel about PCA moving to March?
Well, this year is March. Next year is April.
Oh, interesting.
I think the main month is going to be April moving forward. I think it was this year they needed to do March because they had no other choice. I'm actually happy about it. Kind of starts our year, gets us going, and then now we can actually live a normal life and have a vacation during the summertime.
Like
Yeah, I think
Metamucil.
it's like Metamucil.
I feel regular.
I didn't know anyone heard me. I was just
Yeah.
muttered.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, because
Stop answering spam calls.
So, yeah, because we were talking to somebody else trying to like work out an interview, and they were talking about going to TPE, and TPE is like in February, and it's like a month before PCA.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow, lots of stuff going on in the cigar world.
There we go.
yeah. TPE. We don't participate in TPE. We did it once, like the first year.
Oh, okay.
But it's a much broader smoking show with a lot of vape, a lot of C-store products like vapes and cigarettes and gummies and all that. I think there was one booth that actually had like synthetic urine for drug testing.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so it's definitely not my vibe, but there are some companies that go and do very well at that show. But yeah, we just choose to kind of like the PCA for us is our Super Bowl, and that's the one we go to every year. Yeah, I'm glad with the new schedule because now it kind of positions the other conventions that we do throughout the year spaced out a little bit better.
That's
and they're
cool.
not sitting on top of each other. Like now our TAA is going to be in the fall.
Oh, okay.
Which actually gives me a lot of time to prepare for the TAA projects I always do.
Neat.
But yeah, I think I'll like April better next year because it gives me that one extra month to prepare stuff for the show. There are a few things that I'm a little bit behind the gun on for this year's show, but it's really whether or not we're going to display something or not display something.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still going to continue making all the releases that we planned for the whole year already. So
cool.
We just don't know if we'll have a couple ready for the to show.
Oh, neat. Can you give us a sneak peek of what's going to be at the show?
Well, yeah. I mean, so we do the Kohonu series, and the Kohonu 2015 and 2018 we're actually doing with Broadleaf.
Oh, cool.
So that's coming out as regular production. We have a couple limited editions we're going to show at the show. I love how I say the show at the show.
Cool.
The one of the surrogates will be presenting at the show for release a little bit later in the year. A new atelier that we'll be showing there, which will be obviously releasing later in the year too. Obviously the monster stuff, we have a big monster themed project that's going to come out sometime in September.
Ooh.
Very reminiscent to what we did with the Monster Mash. I don't know if you remember those.
Oh yeah, I actually saw one in the store recently. Yeah.
There'll be 14 cigars still, but in a different format and packaged in a way very shelf friendly.
Oh, cool.
So that's going to be fun. But there's a lot of projects. Oh, sorry. We'll have to cut that part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was. Yeah, but I was just gonna say my Halloween was made. All the bed off to taking the kids out. I sat outside and had the Dracula ducks too. That was very, very nice and relaxing after toting everyone around for candy. But yeah.
Well, at least you weren't promoting.
Not for kids. Yeah. Not for kids. Not for kids.
You were handing them out at the door. Yeah. Here, kid.
Screw that. Handing out Those, yeah.
Yeah, I
Hey,
don't
you
want.
know, it's funny though that the culture has obviously changed and times have changed, but I could swear when I was a kid, there might have been one lady giving out a single cigarette to every kid that walked through the door.
That's hilarious. I love that lady. Remember
I
that? Yeah.
remember there was one lady
Yeah.
that gave out dimes.
Oh, hilarious.
Everybody got a dime.
Yeah. And I
You know,
bet
back
those
then a dime meant something.
I bet those cigarettes were Virginia Slims too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
gives you a dime, says, call your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have an aunt that still like smokes a pack a day of Virginia Slims, and she's like 83 or 4. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
she's gonna
Amazing.
live forever. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
Some people are just smoke cured, you know. You
Um,
know.
that reminds me.
Instead of salt cured,
Yeah,
smoke cured.
Yeah,
Well, going back
Like
to
an old piece of meat.
yeah,
my father-in-law is 85. Still has black hair. Still like gets on his roof, does all this stuff. His
yeah, it's weird.
breakfast is a Twinkie and butterscotch pudding,
Yeah.
as Thomas likes to
Wait,
say.
how old is he?
85.
85.
85 and still has dark hair. I know a few people like that. And one guy actually, my wife's uncle works in the factory here in Miami, and he still has dark hair.
Weird.
Like dark hair, and he smokes fucking cigarettes like they're going out of style.
Oh, jeez.
And he smokes cigars too, but I'm trying to ask like what shampoo do you use?
Yeah, we had
I'm losing my hair. It's gray every day. It gets grayer, and then this guy's got a full fucking head of black hair. I'm like, how's that fucking possible?
That's hilarious.
One day, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah.
Give me the secret. What'd you drink while you were in Cuba?
Yeah.
Tell me what fountain of youth you've been dipped in.
Yeah, there was this guy with our scout troop he smoked the Marlboro Golds in the gold box, and he was like the World War II generation, and he had white hair, but it was like blonde because he smoked so much. You know, he drive us down to the camp.
Smoke cured hair.
Yeah. Yeah, he would drive us down in his old Oldsmobile station wagon to this camp a couple hours away in the mountains in Virginia,
and the way he would drive, he would stick his hands in the wheel and drive like this.
Yeah, he was quite a character.
Where the conversation is going, but
yeah. But anyway, back to old people smoking.
That's his version of 2 and 10, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you were in LA, and I'm huge into like old Hollywood, old like comedians and stuff. Did you ever have any run-ins with George Burns? I know he wasn't like a huge.
Not George Burns, but Milton Berle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I met Milton Berle at the Grand Havana Room. I mean, listen, you stand in the same 5 foot, section of a guy like that, you don't say much. You just go, nice to meet you. And you just shut up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, George Burns never. Like, he was obviously alive when I was out there, but I don't think I ever saw him. The people that you would, that played people that smoked on TV, like Kramer played the part of smoking cigars on Seinfeld, but he didn't really smoke. He just did it on the show.
Gotcha.
And you would see him
in real life.
You would see him rolling around a lot.
Yeah,
but
it's like
old comedians now. Not that I'm. Aside from Milton Berle, not really.
Nobody from that generation. Yeah,
One of my favorites.
Who's your favorite?
I was gonna. No, I was gonna
just
say one of my
spit it out, Dylan.
One of my favorite Fireside comics is it's like the future, and people are like zipping around flying saucers, and there's a marquee in the background says George Burns tonight. Because he's so old, and he's living forever. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Well, and the funny thing about him, because I've gone down the George Burns rabbit hole, like he always smoked machine-made cigars.
Yeah.
Like till he was 100. and he would talk about how like Milton Berle and Groucho Marx would be like, "Hey, smoke my Dunhills, smoke my H. Upmans," and he'd be like, "No, I like my El Producto Queens." And he's like that veteran who lived to 112, smoking like 12 cigars a day, and they were like Tampas or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's because like our grandfathers, they smoked King Edwards and Dutch Masters and DeNobiles and stuff like that, and they're all machine made. And that's actually something else I wanted to ask you. In all of your cigar history knowledge, why people of that, like the World War II generation, and I know like they would have started smoking before the embargo, but were handmade cigars not readily available like on the East Coast, like north of, like mid-Atlantic, north of Florida and all that stuff?
They were machine maids. The machine industry was so big, and the amount of cigars that they produce. Because you got to remember, like cigars back then were like 3 for a quarter.
Oh, yeah,
Or
that's true.
2 for a quarter, or 15 cents. Handmaids were a little bit more expensive, but I just think it was more of a luxury item, and the majority of people just were smoking these machine maids, or even hand finished machine maids. So they were actually, the bunch was put together by a machine, and they would hand finish the wrapper on it. Those things were inexpensive, and everybody was smoking it, and they were using Cuban tobacco.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, if you look at Ybor City, I mean, the amount of cigar makers that were there, and you have one standing building still that makes machine maids, which is J.C. Newman. They used to produce handmaids also, and that's why Drew Newman brought back this whole making handmade cigars in their factory in Tampa, just to show the history of what they did. But handmade cigars back then were not really big either; they were small, like the machine maids you see now. They weren't like these like fat robustos. Those things didn't exist. I think maybe towards the 50s you started seeing bigger cigars, but they were probably harder to come by.
All right, that makes sense.
And more expensive.
Yeah, there are stories of my grandmother's brothers. They'd get the really long DeNobiles, and then they get a straight razor and cut them all in half so they could have more, last longer.
Another faux pas, according to cigar aficionados. You're supposed to do that.
Oh, well, cut a regular cigar?
Yeah.
I've cut multiple regular cigars in half because I didn't have time.
Yeah.
So you always start with the foot.
Yeah.
Like if you cut the cigar in half, like where the ash is, right?
Yeah.
You have to put the part that's in the middle in your mouth right away, because otherwise it will unravel. If you try to turn it around, it will be like a Chinese yo-yo.
Oh.
One of those things when you're kids.
Yeah. Oh, I hate those.
So if you do decide to cut a very long cigar in half, make sure that you put the cigar, the part that you cut in the middle, in your mouth right away to make sure that it stays together.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I was watching
faux pas.
Faux pas.
Yeah.
I
don't care.
I got kicked out of the store with a straight razor.
Yeah, that'll be another tatuaje.
More inventory.
Yeah. Another Tatuaje T-shirt will be like David Savona, like wagging his finger. It's like, no, faux pas.
Cut your cigar, cut your cigars in half, and double your inventory.
Yeah,
I was just trying to help you.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, it was neat. There's an old Jimmy Stewart Western where I forget which one it is, but
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah,
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, he's rolling his own cigars in like he's got a little Chivetta and a little table and everything, like putting it together, and it's really interesting. It's like he must have wanted to put that in the movie because it really had no bearing on the story, but it was cool to see that. Smoking little cigars.
Yeah, I wonder what movie that was.
It was one of those.
I
It
haven't
was
watched a lot of his westerns.
Yeah, I went on a big kick last year. I have the Criterion channel. Highly recommend it. The streaming service with all the cool art house movies, and but they had a series of Jimmy Stewart westerns, like by this one director. It was all the movies he did with this one director, and that was one of them. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was. Had to do with
You'll
the
have to put a link in the.
Yeah, right.
This is
Yeah.
when we point,
Yeah.
up
Hey.
here.
It was something with it had to do with the Civil War.
Click
And
the link, drop a like,
yeah,
Hit the bell.
yeah.
and tell us in the comments whether or not you like this shit.
So speaking of movies and celebrities and stuff, have you ever done a celebrity cigar, or would you ever consider doing a celebrity cigar?
Well, I mean, I've done cigars for the band Guar. Have you ever heard of Guar?
Yeah.
I did a cigar for Guar one time. We're actually talking about doing another one.
Oh, cool.
So that's a kind of a teaser, a scoop
Ooh.
for your non-gossip column.
Yeah.
I got hit up by not a celebrity, but a celebrity tattoo artist to do something.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hit up before, but I don't know. I think it was maybe like Nas or something was asking around to make cigars. I'm like, I just told the person, I was like, just not what I do. Licensing with a celebrity is always kind of, I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they're probably expecting way more out of it than you can give them. And listen, we're the cigar industry, which is small.
Right.
If you really want to make a ton of money, you might as well make your own brand of cigarettes.
Right.
Sure. So what
and promote them to kids.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
So one thing I've heard a lot is, everyone kind of, the celebrities who dabble in this stuff, but like to a person, I've heard that Guy Fieri, his knuckle sandwich line is, he actually is a very into it, and that's why it's so successful.
That's the best one I've seen.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
And I haven't had the Connecticut one yet, which is it just got rated really high.
Yeah, I think that was in the top 25.
And a bunch of lists that came out for 23.
Yeah, I think it was in the top 20. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't in Cigar Aficionado's top 25.
Oh, okay.
It was in. I know it was in.
It was in Half Wheels.
Yeah.
JR Cigars. It was in Half Wheels and JR.
That was cool.
But yeah, that he seems like a cool guy and very much.
Yeah, I've actually talked to the.
To have someone make something so he can make a buck.
I've actually talked to the guys from Espinosa about that, and they're thrilled with his participation. He loves the culture. He loves the brand. He loves being part of it. He shows up to events. Like, you couldn't ask for a better spokesperson too. I mean, millions of people follow him, and this is a guy that's very proud of promoting that he enjoys cigars. So any press like that's good press for the whole industry. And thanks to Espinosa for actually getting that hookup, because it actually helps the whole industry.
That's cool. Yeah, and he's taking you to Flavor Town, not only with food.
Right?
Yeah. No,
Thomas, we need to come out with the rail line, the Rum Brothers rail line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, one day we will. Yeah, it's interesting. Like,
was there anything else on you?
I went back into the archives and read the interview with Joe Pantoliano for Cigar Aficionado when they had this Sopranos cover, and he talked about, like, he would be doing some movie and he'd write a note to, like, Carlito Fuente and be like, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. I want to smoke your cigars in it," and then, like, he'd send them boxes. Has anyone ever done that to you? Have you ever? Oh, Dylan's gone.
You lost your brother.
Have you ever Have you ever had
Spam call.
somebody? Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Have you ever had somebody smoke your stuff in a movie, or have you ever had anybody ask about that?
Well, I mean, somehow, Fausto became like a line in the blacklist.
Oh,
Like they
really?
talked about Fausto smoking whatever James Spader's character. He actually talks about how he would like a smooth smoking Tatuaje Fausto. Like, and he
Oh,
said it so
that's cool.
perfectly. Yeah. I got to hit up, giving cigars to celebrities. I feel like it's kind of like I would rather pass out cigars to the guys that are not celebrities
Yeah,
because
to kids.
well, they're not the kids. No, to the consumers because
Yeah,
they're the ones that are spending the money.
right. Yeah.
Flea said this one time. He's like, when I had no money, I couldn't even afford strings for my bass guitar. No one would give me anything, and now that I'm super wealthy and rich, everybody gives me free bass guitars, free bass strings. Like
Yeah.
everything's free. Like it seems so backwards.
Yeah.
But the celebrities ultimately, I guess they're the influencers, and they can actually push it a little bit. There's been occasions where I've made something for a friend that's a mild celebrity that like, hey, I'll get you a box made for yourself if you need to use it for something. I've actually sent a couple boxes to be put into a movie that this comedian was doing, because he's lively and active on Instagram about smoking tatuajes. I'm like, someone called me and said, hey, we're doing a movie with this comedian. Is there a chance that we can get a couple boxes for the set? I'm like, absolutely. Like, it's going to be in the movie. Absolutely. And I know he's a big fan of the product and he constantly talks about it. So yeah, why not? I don't do it all the time, but yeah, it's definitely good for marketing and promotion for the industry as a whole.
That's
When you
cool.
see people smoking cigars in movies, it kind of spreads the wealth for everybody.
Yeah, totally. Who's the
Doesn't
comedian?
matter what brand. This guy named Bobby Kelly.
All right, I have to look him up. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And so same thing with Burt Kreischer. Burt Kreischer hit me up. You know who Burt Kreischer is, right?
That name is
The
very familiar.
the
It's
machine.
yes.
All your viewers are going to be pissed off that you don't know who
Yeah.
Burt Kreischer is.
Oh no. Yeah.
Burt Kreischer does this skit where he said he joined the Russian mafia.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Burt Kreischer was the inspiration for Van Wilder.
Oh really?
He was the college student that lived in college forever.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like I forgot he went to UF or one of these schools, and he was in school for like 7 years or something like that. He didn't want to graduate. But he's a good comedian, and he's funny, and he's really, really popular right now. But yeah, it's rare that Burt Kreischer actually hit me up one day. Says, I just did a workout with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was doing some comedy skit with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's like, I would love to get him a box of those cigars that I really enjoy. And I actually have a cigar that's called the Grand Kohonu Series A, which stands for Arnold, but has nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was actually a Rottweiler's name.
Wow.
This Rottie named Arnold. That we have this rule that anytime a dog passes away in our group, our family, we always dedicate a cigar to that dog. And Arnold was one of the Rottweilers. So I was like, yeah, I'll send you a couple boxes of Arnold's. This is perfect.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you ever hear back? Was he like, I love this cigar. You got to make me more.
I happen to be in a room. I happened to be in the Grand Havana room one day it was Super Bowl Sunday at the Grand Havana room many, many years ago. And Arnold walked in with his kind of his protege, Ralph Mueller, who's this big Mr. Olympia guy. Like, he was in this movie called Beer Fest. You ever seen the movie Beer Fest? It's hysterical.
But
my God.
Okay.
Take the time. If you just want stupid humor, you're going to laugh your ass off.
Okay, cool.
It was funny when Ralph came in. I asked he came into the store that I was working at, and he goes. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm in a new movie. It's coming out. It's called BFS." And I'm like, "What the fuck is BFS?" I couldn't
BFS.
I couldn't I couldn't understand what he was saying. And then when I saw Beer Fest, I was like, "Oh, Beer Fest, okay." But yeah, so Arnold came in with him and they sat down and Arnold was smoking like a Monty too. And he put it down and someone gave him a Tatuaje and he started smoking the Tatuaje. So everybody in the room that knew me was like trying to take pictures of Arnold smoking
That's
this
pretty cool.
Tatuaje. Because like, okay,
That's
that's pretty
cool.
fucking cool. But yeah, no, I never got a phone call from Arnold saying I did get a kick out of I made a cigar for the Grand Havana years ago. And for some reason, Stallone was not a huge fan of my Unico, the torpedo that I make.
Oh,
But he ended up being a huge fan of the cigar that I made for the Grand Havana Room, which was like a longer torpedo and a little bit stronger. And he bought a ton of them. Eventually, he became a fan of the Unico, and he came downstairs to the shop that we had below the Grand Havana Room, and he bought a box of Unicos. But he sat there because he was watching. They were playing like the longest drive contest on the TV, and my TV in the store was linked to the TV up in the club. And in the middle of, so he sat down in the store for like a half hour watching this thing. And in the middle of this whole longest drive contest, they changed the channel upstairs, which changed the channel on my TV. And he got up all pissed off. Like, what happened? I go, someone upstairs changed the channel. So he ended up going back upstairs. But in person, he actually was a really nice guy to hang out with, just talking about cigars and
that's
stupid
cool.
longest drive contest on the TV. And when you get a celebrity in a mode where they're not being the celebrity, it's actually they're actually kind of cool people. Like they're just normal dudes that smoke cigars.
That's really cool.
It's actually kind of refreshing because I wasn't sure I liked Stallone before that day.
That's neat. Yeah, I know they came out with that new documentary series. I wanted to watch it. But what's also cool. Oh, what were you going to say?
Arnold's is really good. And also Stallone's is really good. But Arnold, if you haven't seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary, it's really good.
Yeah, I've seen the first episode, and what I loved about it is the opening scene of him smoking
a cigar
in the hot tub, and it's a Padron series.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the 1926 or the 90th
it's
or anything.
It's the cheapest Padron.
Yeah, and I was like, I love this, that he is smoking a Padron series in the hot tub. Because
you know why? Because someone gave it to him.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
I only smoke cigars that people give me.
Yeah. If they say they're Cubans, they're not Cubans. I just roll them in the fire.
Right?
Even when it's 90 degrees, I want the fire.
He's gonna
yeah,
watch
he's
this,
gonna watch this
sure.
and get so offended.
Well, I don't know if you watch. Yeah, I was about to say if you watch.
Yeah, he's one of our biggest followers. Yeah, right. No, I considered trying to reach out to his people because he's like, because he came out with that new book. He's like on every podcast you could think of. Like his social media blitz.
Yeah.
Like his publicist must be going nuts.
I haven't been paying attention.
No, I mean his book is called "Be Useful." It's like I'm working for him. No, but it's motivational, all that stuff. It sounds good. But I'll let you know what I think when I read it.
Did we actually hit everything? I feel like we must have. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, we're doing great. So speaking of movies,
we're halfway through.
Yeah, halfway through. Speaking of movies, and I know you touched on a little bit of this when you talk about the J.C. Newman factory. But the new hand roll documentary about J.C. Newman, very cool.
Yep.
I watched it recently, and it's really neat. Like I had no idea like the history of Ybor City and everything, and it's so cool that you are helping to bring all these stories to light. It's really neat, and the Newman family is just like, what a cool story.
Yeah, they're great people, great family. I've known Drew. We sit on the same board together because he's on the CRA board and he's the smartest kid in the room. Obviously, I call him a kid because he's younger than me, but definitely the smartest guy in the room. And but I've known him since he was like 15 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's just weird for me now. I've been like 30 plus years doing this in the cigar industry. You start realizing like, hey, I'm old, like old.
Well, you're not old, Pete.
Yeah.
Not as old as my dad, but I'm
Yeah,
old.
right.
Age is
Hey,
relative.
you're not George Burns yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Um.
I was
No.
just
You
gonna
no.
name
You first.
I was
Tone.
just
You
gonna name
first.
my favorite
It was easier.
JC Newman cigar. I love the El Baton. That's and it's it's not their. I mean, I've had the Julie Caesar and everything like that, but the El Baton is just like price point to what it gives.
I like the Yagua.
Yes, I just had that and the reason I got it was because of you, because you talked about how you love the old Henry Clays that were wet packed.
Yeah,
Now,
Yaguas are cool. Just everything they do with that is like really cool.
yeah, like the presentation I saw when I bought it, I saw them take it out of the box and it's wrapped in the leaf and everything. It's very neat. Do you think you would ever do like a wet pack cigar like that?
Well, I've been doing wet pack cigars for 20 plus years because I
Which
like,
ones?
well, the Havana Cazadori, it's not, we don't put it in right away, but it goes in pretty fresh and it just kind of melds into that foil wrapper that we put it in.
Oh,
I grew up smoking a lot of Romeo and Julieta Cazadoris from Cuba that were smushed into a bundle, in this foil paper bundle that you'd open up the bundle and you just smell like a giant chocolate factory or Cocoa Puffs coming out. Not forget. And so when I started my line 21 years ago, that was like the first thing I wanted to do was do a cigar like that.
Oh,
To
interesting.
convince my father-in-law and my brother-in-law to pack them fresher, it was a hard topic for them because like they were afraid that it would like be moldy inside the bundle.
Yeah.
But the bundle breathes enough to where if you wrap it in there fresh, it kind of goes through its own little weird fermentation, like in its own little, cosmos that it's in.
Huh.
So when you peel open that bundle and you sniff it, you're just like, wow, it's like a burst of chocolate.
That's cool.
I love stuff like that. I've never gone an extreme like what they do with Yagua, where the cigars are like just crooked and shit.
Yeah.
I love it though.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
I was at the store when they took it out of the box, and there was one that was like literally a diamond, and it was like mostly flat.
And they're stuck to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm yeah. I apologize. This is just ignorance of your brand, but can you please explain the difference between like the regular brown label and the Cazadores? They're different, right?
Well, the regular brown label, when we started the brown label in Miami, there was 6 sizes. And they're all very particular and they all have their own unique blend to them, but they're all based off the same, mid blend. Like that's the blend. And each one is kind of altered to kind of make itself its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Noea, the Taino, the Unico, and the Regio were all based off the same blend, just in different formats. So they were altered to make sure that the blend was true to each size. But the Cazadori was a touch up in strength, and the Especiale was a touch down in strength.
Oh, interesting.
So the Cazadori was always one of those sizes that I loved. 6 3/8 by 43. It's a very classic cigar. Got a classy look to it. And when you do take those super fresh and you pack them super fresh, they will kind of get those kind of odd shapes to them. But we choose to let them dry a little bit before we put them into the bundle, because they'll still have that same exposure of like that burst of chocolate coming off the bundle when you open it. But we don't go as extreme where we wouldn't pack them within like the first day that they were rolled.
Mm.
I love that though. I absolutely love it. I haven't been able to convince my father-in-law and my brother-in-law to let me do it. There was there was one cigar that we did called the Maravilla way back in 2006 where I packed them really, really fresh. So they did come out of the bundle kind of like misshaped, which I absolutely love.
Oh, that's cool.
Because if you let those things sit for a long time, they just get better and better with age.
Oh, that's neat. So is this Sir Winston? Is that in the Cazadores line or?
Well, the Sir Winston. So okay, you're thinking of the Selection de Cazador, which is the whole broad line.
Oh, okay.
So Miami Selection de Cazador is the selection of Hunter. Hunter was my dog. That's where the name comes from. So if you look at the first 6 sizes, it actually they spell out Hunter.
Oh yeah.
Havana Cazadore, Unico, Noea, Taino, Especiale, Reggio.
Gotcha.
So that's part of the whole like base of the blend. So the Selection de Cazadore is the base blend, and then from there we do Reserva versions. So like the SW is part of the Reserva line.
Okay.
And the J21 is part of the Reserva line. But those are 2 different blends.
Oh, okay.
So they're Reservas because we make small batches of them, but they're completely different in character.
Gotcha.
Like the SW is more, medium plus with, just elegant flavors. The J21 has that more of the chocolate bomb, a little bit more of those like cocoa notes to it, the Cocoa Puff notes to it.
Cocoa Puffs, yeah.
So you see the darker colors on the wrapper also. The SW is a lighter wrapper. So, yeah, it's kind of confusing because in Nicaragua, we do a Selection de Cazador based off of the original brown label, so it still carries the brown label line. But then it has the Reserva, but then we put broadleaf on the wrapper, so it actually, the band says Reserva broadleaf.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the confusion comes in for a lot of people where they see the Reserva, the black Reserva label, like which one is it? Like if it doesn't say broadleaf, it was made in Miami. If it says broadleaf, it was made in Nicaragua.
Gotcha.
With a broadleaf wrapper compared to the Miami stuff, which we use Habano, Ecuador.
Yeah, I love that. The Reggios is one of my favorite cigars ever. It's so good.
I wanted to ask you, so we're talking about, going back to Cocoa Puffs and stuff like that. What is the weirdest flavor note you've ever gotten on a cigar? It'd be yours or someone else's, be it good or bad. What's the like a very distinct like, oh, this is that, like
well, I mean, like weird. I mean, I think there's just all those notes in your head just waiting to come back from your childhood.
Yeah.
Like there's the sense memory things that you just kind of bring back up. But like one time, I mean, not weird in a sense, but I remember the first day I tasted leather on a cigar. I might have been in a newer car, and it might have been the car seat that was affecting my mental sense of what I was enjoying. But I was like, holy shit, I just tasted leather. Where did it come from? Did it come from where I was sitting, or did it come from a past memory? Lamb, obviously, that's an interesting one. There's a certain tobacco that we put a blend together that we're like, this is kind of gamey. Like what is it? Or like, oh shit, it's like lamb.
That's weird.
Yeah, but I mean, but there's other people like that. There's people like that do reviews. Like you start seeing some of the tasting notes, you're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
like boiled chicken.
Chicken.
I mean, but for the person that wrote about it, he probably did taste it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm like, what
no, it's actually come up. Fruity. I've heard Fruity Pebbles before.
Oh, that's interesting.
But like Opus X, if you ever smell the foot of an Opus X, and just do this, just take the cellophane off and stick the foot of the cigar before you light it, obviously, to your nose. And you're going to smell like cinnamon raisin toast.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's just something about what they do with that tobacco that it's there. And I don't know what it is, but it's there.
Yeah.
That bitter. They put it right in there,
Diabetes.
right in the foot.
Yeah.
Stick your foot. Oh no.
Yeah. Um, before we go too far from it, that's hilarious. It would be really cool. I'm sure you
Trying
get
not
this
to
up.
spit up the
Yeah.
rum.
And I'm sure you get this stuff all the time. You probably hate people giving you ideas for cigars, but it would be really cool if you did. But because I'm going to do it right now. Like a wet pack version of the black label. That would be very cool because that's more of like
Okay.
the
So the
homegrown.
original black label that we did actually went into the foil bundle. Um, very fresh, like not super fresh within like 7 days or something. It went into the foil, and those if you start pulling those out of the bundle, you'll see like that kind of odd shapes to them and ugly looking cigars.
Yeah.
The beauty is in its ugliness.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah.
that's my I mean I would say this even if you weren't here. I mean the Tatuaje Black Label and the Corona
That's
Gorda
always.
is it's the best thing I've ever had.
Yeah, if you're able to find like old original black label Corona Gordas when they were in the ceramic jar, those
Yeah.
have that
One,
kind of gnarly look to them.
Yeah, and even the ones that I bought, like even in the box, they were kind of like a little bit box pressed because of I don't know if they were packed
yeah.
a little wet or fresh or whatever.
Well,
But
this is very
no, those
reminiscent. So,
they're
like,
amazing.
bringing it back to beer, like, it's my life. So, but in beer, if if they can get a fresh hop harvest, and they'll do a wet hop beer where it's that fresh hops, and there is nothing like a fresh hop beer where they pick it and put it right in the beer like instantly. And it kind of sounds very similar where you have that kind of,
Well,
like explosion of flavor. Obviously with beer there's no like misshapenness to it, but they, yeah, I
Yeah, the cans are all dented.
yeah. I think it was there was this
I
hilarious
like that.
post on
Yeah.
There's a marketing thing right there.
Yeah, right.
Dented
the retailers would love
the
it. They'd be
dented
like, "How do I
can.
stack this?"
Yeah,
I'm
there
like,
you go.
just yeah, it's art. But yeah, what one of my favorite what
Yeah.
yeah
And put a price on art. Put a
someone
price on it.
someone
Yeah,
put
there
in
you
a
go.
cigar group on there, and someone posted a picture of really bent cigar, and it was like, I didn't know cigars got Peyronie's disease. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We see that with like when an ash, when you're bunching a mold, and you don't turn it quite right in the bunch and in the mold, and it doesn't sit in the mold long enough, you can get that time where the ash starts to bend or even flare. And people, there's always the comment from a friend of mine is like, "My cigar's got Peyronie's disease."